Well, it's officially here, launch day. Thank you all so much for all of your support, just continued support, day in and day out, week in and week out. It's really just been incredible. And I feel so blessed to have such an amazing team of friends and supporters that have been here every step of the way with me. So thank you all. I can't believe today's here. It's kind of funny because originally we were going to launch a lot sooner than this. And then there were delays. And then I thought we were going to launch again. And then there were delays. And then, there's just so much unpredictable stuff in the book industry, in launches. But it's finally here and I'm excited to celebrate it. I woke up today with a big smile on my face. And I normally do, but today was even bigger. It was just a special day. And the day couldn't have started out in a more precious fashion because my daughter, Savannah, gave me a card this morning with a bunch of her pictures that she drew on it that said, congratulations on book launch day. And then my wife wrote me a card as well. So super sweet. What a great way to kick it off. I got the best family in the world. I feel blessed. So I am thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here with Amber Vilhauer of NG. She's my book launch director and really just the captain of this ship. She's done just an amazing job through and through, and I couldn't have done this without her. So Amber, so glad to have you here.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool because it was almost a year ago that we were sitting on a couch at Hal's Best Year Ever event. And you were telling me about the book and thinking about building a platform. And as soon as you told me that, I could just see the vision for you. Of course, I've experienced your greatness in Cutco days, back when we were both in Cutco. But everything that you've been through in the past year to get to this point is absolutely remarkable. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud to be standing by you and being here on your launch day. Like, this is the best. It's the best.
Well, thank you. It's a team effort. I couldn't have done all this myself by any stretch of the imagination. So whenever people say, it takes an army or a team to write a book, there's no joke about that. There's the writing process, there's the marketing process. There's just so much that goes into it. And so this project, which you'll see in my acknowledgments, is just like, I just have so many people to thank for the support that they gave, which is so cool. I am also here with Andrew Pfennig, and I'm so excited to have you join us as well. So Andrew is the Director of Strategic Operations for Love Justice International, which is a fantastic charity that I am personally thrilled about and inspired by. And so if you have not been paying attention, all the proceeds of my book, The Lifestyle Investor, are all going to go to charity from now until forever. And for my first round of donations, everything is steered towards Love Justice because I just love the work that they do in the world. And so they have an international presence. They're fighting hard against human trafficking and, helping and saving people whose rights are violated, oftentimes children, which is maybe one of the saddest things in the world. And so, today during this event, during our book launch, which will go on for the next 3 hours, I've got a bunch of special guests that are going to be joining periodically. But I'd love to be able to raise money for this charity as well as, proceeds from book sales going to this charity as well. So, Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We're just so grateful for this opportunity and for the commitment that you've made, to support this. We couldn't be happier to partner with you.
Awesome. So I'd love to learn more about Love Justice. Well, actually, I know a lot about it. I'd love for everyone else to learn more about it because I just think the more you know about it, the more you want to support it. And I can assure you, if you have kids, this organization will resonate with you because the worst thought in the world is some of the things that are happening in the world to children.
Yeah, and let me just, you mentioned that we're an anti-trafficking organization, and maybe I can give a little context to kind of explain why we're so unique in that space. So there are kind of two primary strategies for fighting human trafficking. One is on the pre-trafficking side with education and awareness focused on vulnerable populations. Really valuable work. It's just hard to kind of prove the impact of that because you can't prove a negative. So you're hoping that by educating vulnerable people, they won't be trafficked. The second is rescue and recovery, kind of post-trafficking intervention. This is, again, really important work. But the exploitation, the abuse has taken place, and the road to recovery is very long. So it's after the abuse has happened is the intervention. And we sit in the middle of those two in a really strategic place we call transit monitoring. And so we look for signs of human trafficking, people who are actively being trafficked while they're being transported from the source of the crime to the destination of the crime. And very often these victims are deceived into taking a job that's too good to be true. They're lured across borders by false marriage, false romance. They're made promises that aren't true. And they're not really abused or exploited typically until they reach the destination and they're sold. And then they're trapped and there's nothing they can do. And so during this transportation phase, this transit monitoring that we do, it's when the trafficker is the most vulnerable and pre-exploitation. So the big mission, the big vision of this whole model is that we can intercept active victims before they're traumatized and abused and return them home safely. So we're standing in this very brief window of time between freedom and slavery, and these two paths in front of a person, and we're trying to steer them back to freedom. And so just think about the power of that, right? If someone had intervened, we're all human beings. We've all made mistakes. We've all had things in our lives that we wish hadn't happened. And nothing, I hope, as traumatic as being sold into sexual or work slavery. But imagine if someone had been there to steer you away from that, to prevent that from happening. That's what we do. And we're doing that work we've piloted the work in 17 countries. And we've intercepted over almost 23,000 individuals over that in that space. So it's
amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really tangible work. And your audience are investors or people who want to build wealth. And so one of the metrics that we really look at is impact on the dollar. What is the return on investment essentially of this work? And it's very cost effective compared to other interventions and incredibly impactful. So we're just really excited about it. We're growing as fast as we can. And any resources that we can get, the funds that can come from this opportunity, the field is fruitful and the opportunities abound. And we're ready to grow with this opportunity.
That's so great. Andrew, it's incredible that you're doing work in 17 countries. That is unreal.
Yeah, we've been doing this work since about 2006. So we have a lot of time that we've built perfecting this model. And for the first 10 years, we were in one country. And so this growth, in business, it's about traction. It's about scalability at launch. And so we built traction for about 10 years built in our model, and we've been scaling ever since. So the investment of capital right now is really strategic in our growth. And so that we're trying to get the word out as much as we can. So grateful for this opportunity.
That's amazing. And I tell you, I want to give a shout out to N2 Publishing, to Dwayne Hickson and Earl Seals, because they're the two individuals that I learned about this organization through. And I did some consulting work with their company and met you guys at a function there and was just blown away at all the things that you do. And I know that they're huge supporters of you as well. And so, I just want to give that shout out to them and to the whole N2 Publishing community, because I think it's incredible what they're doing and the word that they're getting out. And the ripple effects that happen. I'd love to show like a quick trailer video so people have a feeling for what you guys do.
Cool.
What would happen if we believed that every life was worth fighting for? That instead of seeing statistics, we would see the heartbeats and voices and laughter and people with breath in their lungs just like everyone else. But if we finally took a moment to look at our world, see the pain and the suffering, and instead of turning away, we did something about it. We could love people well and fight for the justice of remembering that everyone has a story, has a dream, has a desire to be something more than their circumstances allow them to be. Every person is valuable. Every person worth loving, worth holding, worth keeping safe from a fate no one was meant to face. What would happen if we believed that every life was worth fighting for?
Wow. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining.
You off really quick, Justin. I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
I have to cut you off because I just have to say how honored I am here again to be here with you, because not every entrepreneur, not every author is willing to stand up in the way that you're standing up right now. And what I don't want is for viewers to just think, oh, that's nice. Like, it's so much more than nice. This is a really big deal that you are taking a stand. You are showing leadership. You are showing your peers and colleagues and friends that they can be doing more too. And it just means so much to me that you are willing to donate all of the sales forever of your book to charity, first of all. Like, I don't know anybody that does that. And then on your launch party, on your launch day, to have this display, it just means so much to be in your community. And Andrew, the work that you're doing, I had to express that. I really want everybody else to rise up with you. It's great.
Well, thank you, Amber. And it's,
Can I add one thing to that? Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's great.
Yeah, as much as you want, Andrew.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm all for wealth creation. I think the vision that I saw on your website and this book launch is a beautiful vision. There's something, wealth creation in itself is not necessarily purposeful, right? That there's a purpose behind building wealth. And part of that is investing in your family and allowing your family to have a life that's meaningful and fulfilling and something you're called to. But it's also the opportunity to invest in the world in a meaningful way to make it better. And I think the leadership behind N2 get that in spades, right? They've been so supportive of this work and other organizations. And as we're building wealth, we need to be mindful of why we have these skills, why we have these opportunities. And so Love Justice is one of many ways to use your wealth creation abilities to add meaning and purpose to that activity, for eternity, really, and not just our own lives. So, yeah, thank you for modeling that again and for leading that.
Thank you for the kind words. And, Andrew, it's people like you and organizations like you that, they make it worth it. It's you feel so great about it that your money can go to something greater than just, whatever the next thing is that you want to get. Because we all have nice lives. For most of us, if you earn X amount more dollars, it's not going to impact you. But the dollars here have exponential impact, and they just travel so far. So thank you for the work that you do and for being willing to join us today. And we're just excited to be partners with you.
Thank you so much.
Well, Amber.
Today, I'm so excited.
Thanks. We're off to a good start.
Yeah, we are. How do you feel? I mean, what has been a moment in the past year that that comes to mind as you're celebrating today? You're transitioning into not just writing the book, but actually launching it and getting out to the world. Is there a moment that comes up that you want to honor or celebrate right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole part of this book and why this is what it is from a desire to get my words into the world. So, it was first, let's go to the basement, the foundation, if you will. And I've had people for years telling me I should write a book, and it was never enough. Like it didn't push me enough. It was like, okay, I don't know if I want to spend the time, but I had a good friend that basically said, hey, Justin, if you died today, your daughter would never learn this. So, how do you feel about that? And is that enough motivation to write the book? And that was intense. I was very emotional from that, just thinking about that. So a couple days later, I started writing the book. So it was the leverage that I needed. So really this, it started out as this really exciting project to capture my ideas so that, my daughter would always have them should anything happen to me. And heaven forbid, I hope that I have a long, healthy life and she has a much longer and healthier life. But I'm happy to know that that's out there and that there's some form of legacy for her that she can learn if anything happens. And in the process, it's been neat just seeing other people's experience with the book and people helping by reading it and giving feedback and, what they like, what they don't like, impact that I've had, based on years of coaching with many different people. And so it was cool seeing this come together and seeing what resonated with people in my community and what resonated with the people that I've coached over the years. So this project started from the place of being a gift to my daughter, and it's still that, but it's even bigger than that because I believe the impact can span and stretch much further, and really create positive ripples in the world. And that's my goal. I want the content to create financial freedom. I want the profits to create human rights and human life freedom.
It has been so amazing to see the outpouring of support that you have been getting and receiving from your community over the past many months. I see it because Justin shares it with me, but he is constantly getting text messages, reviews, people are talking about it, dozens and dozens and dozens of YouTube video testimonials. And that's not just Justin pulling in favors. These are people that believe in him, that are speaking to his character and his giving nature. And having known you as long as I've known you, Justin, I can say that it's all true. So I'm really, again, I'm glad you're celebrating and choosing to do that. Everybody listening, you can go to lifestyleinvestor.com and go get a copy of the book. It's going to a good cause. We just talked about Love Justice, and stay tuned because this is going to be an amazing live stream show today.
Well, thank you so much. And, it's just so fun having, I was telling someone, sometimes it can kind of get lonely, when you're the only one doing it. But with a team here, it's been great. I just have so many people to work with. It's been a blast. So I'm so appreciative for you, Amber, and all that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Mike. Hey,
you guys. How you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Two of my favorite people. Mike Koenigs. How you doing? Ryan Levesque, how you doing?
It's great to see some old familiar faces and friends here on this call. It's a lot of fun.
Other than the old part, everything's good. Everything's good.
Old as in lots of time together old, not old as in gray and wrinkly old.
All right.
Just to set the record straight here.
Mike, did you get a haircut just for me?
I did that, good. A brand new facelift just for you.
It's looking real good, man.
Yeah. I was feeling a little old here, and then Ryan just rubbed it in. I'm very sensitive today. So.
Oh, that's right. Great. So how are things?
What are we here for?
Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
I was pulling out my digital copy right here.
I love it. What do you think? I mean, Mike, you've been a big part on the creative process of helping me extract these ideas from my head. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Well, first of all, it's exceptional. It's really beautiful. The book, I'm waiting for my hardcover to show up. I ordered it. And I don't know if they started shipping yet, but I at least was super happy to get the paperback in. Obviously, read the Kindle, put my reviews up, so Goodreads and Amazon's there. It really is amazing, and I think the biggest takeaway I have, and what I've told everyone about you in this book, is you've changed the way I think about investing. and I stopped a series of bad habits that I had been in for almost 20 years from an investing perspective. And now I use your strategy, your stack strategy, and the kicker mindset with everything I do. And I ask if I can get more. And so since we've been working together, I've been getting equity with zero investing, or I've been getting equity where I'd invest something and then I'd get additional equity or kickers based upon some sort of benefit that I was bringing to the table. And it's also opened up just my ability to communicate using a different language or a vocabulary. And, and I wouldn't consider myself an unsophisticated investor in the past, but I've learned a lot more about how to think, what to ask for as a result of this. So what I've been telling anyone and everyone is, if all you do is use just one of the strategies or one of the examples that's in the book, it can profoundly change the quality of your financial future, but also the goal I think we all have, which is passive income. And Vivian and I took the weekend, this last weekend, we went to Las Vegas and stayed with I'll just show off a little bit. A friend of mine is very, very wealthy. He has the 41st penthouse on the top of what was the Mandarin Chinese. It's been sold. Just an incredible place. And we just felt like we were living in a world of luxury. And I turned to Vivian and I said, we don't really have to work if we don't want to. And we could take a year off if we felt like it right now. And I think that's really what the Lifestyle Investor is all about. It's just having the freedom to take some time and think if you want to. And so, my hope for you is that you're going to create a lot of lifestyle investors who can have the life they want and have a passive income lifestyle if they choose to do so.
That's awesome, Mike. And by the way, the photos and the videos that you sent of your weekend away were unbelievable. I mean, gorgeous. Yeah, and Vivian looked like she was just having a blast. So that is really cool. And thank you for the reviews. I am so appreciative. Anyone that is willing and, feel free to give me an honest review. But I would love a review on Amazon and Goodreads. A video review is fantastic. Because that seems to be populating best.
I'll do that as soon as we're done today. I submitted it and I'm waiting for it to show up so I can add that next, because you can edit afterwards.
Well, it's a funny thing because I've had, countless people. Kind of a crazy high number of people that have submitted, but because Amazon kind of scrapes the, social media profiles, they're not allowing friends to post, or a lot of friends to post. It's kind of silly, but there's probably 100 plus that haven't actually gone up that have been submitted. But that's all right. That's the world of books, I suppose.
And it's Amazon. They're really watching things carefully. We live in delicate, strange days.
No kidding. Ryan, what's up with you, man?
Awesome to be here. Really excited for you, man. It's the big day. I know it's been a long time coming. A lot of work has gone into the project. Everyone here on this call, Justin, Mike, Amber, everyone here. And Justin, for you, really like 20 years in the making is what this is. And so I'll echo everything that Mike said, what I love about the book. And I'll add one more thing to it. So what I love about the book so much is that it inspires you to think big and think about this life that you can create for yourself and for your family, where you have passive income that's supporting your lifestyle, where you don't have to work. I love that aspect of the book. And what I love, in addition to the inspiration, is not only does this book inspire you, but it empowers you to make that first investment. And I think that's really key, because it's one thing to kind of get excited about this big idea and think, gosh, this is the life that we could live. Okay, so what's my first step? Like, how do I got the book, I've read the book, I'm on the last page of the book, what do I do now? And what I love about this book is that it really does empower you to find that first deal, make that first deal, close that first deal, get that first taste of passive cash flow flowing into your bank account. Even if it's a small, modest amount of money, there's just something special about that first deal that makes everything else possible. Like it's like it unlocks this new world of possibility. And even if it's an extra $100 of passive income flowing into your bank account, it's like, oh my gosh, if I could do $100, I could do $1,000 a month. And if I can do $1,000 a month, I can do $10,000 a month. And when I'm at $10,000 a month, like, holy smokes, like the game has really changed. And so I love that you show us how to find that first deal, give us permission to negotiate, as Mike was saying, that whatever's published isn't necessarily like the final deal. Like I learned that from you. Like just because it's on a fancy piece of paper and it's all glossy and it looks official, like that doesn't mean nothing. You can go back to them and say, will you do this and this? And you'd be surprised at how often people will say yes. You just got to ask for it. So there's so much I love about the book, of course, and I could go on, but those are just a few things that have me excited about today specifically, and excited for everybody who's going to lifestyleinvestor.com right now. Get your butt over there, lifestyleinvestor.com, and get yourself a copy of the book, because it's that good. It's one of these books, and I've had a few of them over my career, that the book arrives at my house, or I get it to my Kindle, and I literally am up till 4 or 5 in the morning reading the book cover to cover because I can't put it down. Millionaire Fastlane was one of those books. 4-Hour Workweek was one of those books. And most recently, your book was one of those books. So it is truly one of those books that you got to get your hands on, whether you get the digital copy like I have here on my phone, or the physical copy like Mike has here. Can't recommend it enough.
Oh, I appreciate that. And it's funny because 2 of the books that you mentioned are 2 of the books that are in my book resources page, because they had a profound impact on me as well. And I also couldn't put those down. I thought they were incredible. I'm actually doing a run through. I read last year through 4-Hour Workweek a second time, the new and abridged version, and same thing with Millionaire Fastlane, and he's got another one out as well, which is pretty good.
Your book is right in that. I think it's right in that company. It's like at that echelon of book. So yeah, it gets my highest endorsement.
Well, I appreciate it.
I just wanted to add too that I think the book is really easy to read, and I appreciate that, because in the past I've tried to read finance books and investing books, and it's like, for the creative in me, it's like a mind bender, but your book is so compelling. It's full of story. It's easy to read. It feels actually like something that I can do, right? And so I want to let people know that it's not intimidating. And something that I also really appreciate about this book, Justin, is the lifestyle component. Yes, you're going to learn about investing. Yes, you're going to learn about building wealth, but there's a chapter in here, wealth optimization, or I think it's a section in the book. And it's really about how you're optimizing not just finances, but all areas of your life, you know, your physical body, your emotions, your spirituality, and how are you using this wealth to improve your lifestyle. And so I really have to harp on that, because it's not just a money book, it's a money and lifestyle book. And you know, knowing you as a personal friend, you do practice what you preach. When I fly out to Austin and hang out with you, you've been spending the day with your beautiful wife and daughter, whom I adore, or you're taking trips with your friends, and you really are living the life, and you make time for that. It would be really easy for somebody of your position and your stature to just get into greed and get into ego and more and more and more and more, right? We see how that's happened to other people in our world. And you continue to just be really grounded in that. You like making money, you're good at making money, you help all of your friends make money, you're one of the most giving people that I know, and you have a balanced lifestyle. Maybe not in a couple of days in the book writing process where you were up all night, but by and large, really cool.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. That's very kind. And yeah, I feel like it's important to model the things that you talk about. I mean, I even have that in the book, that you really want to pay attention to who you're getting advice from, because not everyone is giving you the advice that they're following. You know, that's important. So pay attention. Are they doing what they preach? And did they make their wealth from what they, you know, are doing, and, you know, or what they're preaching, or what they're sharing, or what they're teaching? So yeah, that's a huge component of it. So I feel privileged and honored to be able to share what I've done, and allow others to be able to copy me, because I've just really copied a lot of other smart people. You know, a lot of my success is because I'm a good copycat, and I just latch on to people that do smart things and do well. And I'm really a student of the things that they do. You know, in fact, this is I can give a perfect example with Ryan, because, you know, Ryan was, you know, he and I, you know, talked to, he was, you know, one of my first private clients, if you will, where we just went deep dive one-on-one. But he returned that favor because he taught me his world. And I remember just being like, oh man, this guy is brilliant at everything he does in the world of online marketing. And I got to do everything he does. And so I remember, you know, running an event that was like my own thing. And I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Ryan, can you help me out here? And Ryan's like, well, you know, you don't know if you're doing something well or not until you try it out. But here are some tweaks that I would do. And I implement that. And it's like, holy cow. So, I mean, I literally like copied Ryan's stuff to a T. And it works. It's just fantastic. And he, you know, helped me build out some of the products that I have today.
You know, one of the things, Justin, that we were talking about when we were talking about your event and your mastermind and all the things that you've built sort of on the back of this book, were the reasons why someone wouldn't move forward, right? What we call in the business objections, why someone wouldn't move forward. And as we're talking and having this conversation, I'm thinking about, why wouldn't someone go to lifestyleinvestor.com right now and buy the book? Like, what would hold them back? And there are a few that come to mind. So number one, I'm thinking someone might think that they already know what's in the book. Like, they've read all the books. They've read the Tony Robbins Money book. They've read the Rich Dad series. They've read all the books. And they're thinking, it's just going to be the same rehashed advice, but from a different person's perspective. And I can tell you right now, as someone who's read all those books, like, I made my first investment in the stock market when I was 12 years old, reading Peter Lynch's One Up on Wall Street. And till now, I've read probably 100, 200 books on the subject in the last 25 years, 20 years of my life. I can tell you, there is new stuff in here that I've never read about, never learned about, never heard anybody talk about ever, both at the philosophical level in terms of how you should philosophically think about investing, and at the mechanical, tactical level, like how to actually do the nuts and bolts. It's not stuff that you read on thefool.com. It's not stuff that you read on Wall Street Journal. It's not stuff that you read on Bloomberg or Barron's. It's not stuff that you read in any of those places. This guy has figured out something that in his practical experience, you're not gonna find anywhere else. So that's objection number one. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is, okay, great, but I don't think I'm ready or in a position to take advantage of this. I.e., maybe I don't have enough money saved up. Can I really do one of these investments? Is this just for people who have hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars of disposable income that I can invest right away? I can tell you that's not true either. You can get started with literally just a few $1,000s. In fact, there are strategies that you can use that require no money at all. No money down. Money that will strategies that will save you money on things like your taxes, give you more free cash flow. There's so much in there that you don't need to have this big nest egg saved away to make that first investment. We just got snow in Austin, Texas for the first time in like 25 years. Like, we got like 6 inches of snow, and we're teaching our kids how to make snowmen. And how do you make a snowman? You start with this tiny little ball, and then you roll the ball. It becomes this snowball. Before you know it, the snowman is like this big, or snow woman is this big, but it all starts with that tiny little ball, and that first investment is the same thing. So that's thing number two. I don't think I've got enough saved up to take advantage of this. And thing number three is, what's this guy's ulterior motive? This guy, Justin Donald, why is he doing this? Like, if he's really made the money that he's made, why is he putting himself there? Why is he giving this out there? And I can tell you, I had that same skepticism, because Justin and I met through a group that we're part of. It's a dad's group. And I'm thinking to myself, who is this guy who's a so-called lifestyle investor, who doesn't work, he's not making any, he doesn't have a business, he's all this free time in the world. I'm like, is this guy for real? So then I invited him to lunch, 3 or 4 times, True Fruit Kitchen. We'd have our lunches together, and we're having our conversation. Meantime, I'm actually secretly kind of interviewing him. Is this the real deal? Grilling him with questions, testing for consistency. And I said, all right, let me put his advice to work and see if it actually works. Let me invest in some of the deals that he recommends. Before you know it, I'm like, holy smokes. Not only is this guy legit, but he is one of the most giving, altruistic people I have ever met in my entire life. He lives and embodies this give first mentality, unlike almost anybody that I've ever met, who simultaneously has that giving spirit and the depth of expertise and skill to go with it. There are some people out there that are very giving with their time, but they don't have something tremendously valuable to give in the same way that Justin does. Justin brings it both to the table. So yes, Justin has other things that you can do, like events and masterminds and groups. I'm part of them. You can become a private client like I am. All that's great. But he puts so much wisdom in this book that for just, I don't even know what the book's on sale for today, but just a few bucks, the return on investment that you can get is like 1,000,000% on this book. So go out there, get the book, lifestyleinvestor.com, get yourself a copy, get yourself multiple copies so you can give one to your kids or your spouse. I've shared some of this stuff with my kids, and you can not only learn this for yourself, but spread it with the people that you love.
Wow.
Ryan. I know, it's amazing. I just have to add though, you should be buying this for your clients, those of you who are business owners, your team. If you are a part of a mastermind, like get the word out. Okay, go ahead. I just had to add it.
That's great.
I was going to add
you.
a few things too, which is I'm doing exactly that. I'm actually buying the hardcover and sending it to all my clients.
Perfect.
Because I think it's such an important, significant book. And right now, the truth is you can get the Kindle version. It's on sale right now for a limited time. So this is a total no-brainer. I like having the physical book because this is the kind of book that I think you're going to want to dog ear it and make some notes and get out your yellow pad because there's strategies. And Ryan, you nailed something I think is really, really important is you don't need money to get into this game. And I think the most important thing, if you just take a step back, what Justin does, and really what attracted me most to Justin when we met almost 2 years ago now, we were in Fiji together. And I asked him, so what do you do? And he goes, well, I'm a cash flow investor. I go, like, what does that mean exactly? And he explained, well, I invest in stuff. I generate passive income. My wife doesn't work. I don't need to work anymore. And I'm like, okay, I need to learn from this guy. So if you just look at it beyond the tactics that are in the book, beyond the strategies, first of all, it's a roadmap to give you clarity. It is a series of tools that give you courage. And then there's a process that you can use stacking all this together to give you confidence. And your goal is to walk away with a plan, which is you are going to start seeing opportunities that you haven't noticed or seen in the past. And that's really what this is. You're learning a new vocabulary and a new language that's downloaded for you, and you can bypass having to read hundreds of books or watching hundreds of hours or thousands of hours of video. This is real stuff that works right now. And I think that's the important thing about working with someone like Justin. You know, if you choose to do his course, join his mastermind, or work with him one-on-one, he's going to walk you step by step. He's going to show you where there are deals. And one of the biggest ideas that's in the book is this notion of hidden deals. It's like what rich people have access to, hidden deals. Those are the deals that never make it to the real world because they share it with a few people and they're oversold right away. So Justin's got this nose for finding those, and he teaches you how to think and see stuff. It's sort of like a filter gets pulled through your eyes and you realize you've been going through life with the shades drawn, and you didn't know that there was something out there that's available to you because you're not seeing, you know, this is beyond the stock market. It's about finding opportunities that wouldn't normally be visible to you. And I think that if there's one thing that I love about it, it's that idea in addition to the clarity, the confidence, the courage you get by stacking all these together. So that's my take. But Ryan, I agree with everything you just said too. I mean, you really nailed it.
Well,
no excuse not to get started right now.
This is so nice. I feel like I need you guys all to follow me around. You know, I feel
we'll be your
a
man
long
harem
time.
if that's okay. Yeah.
Man, I appreciate all the kind words and all the support. And, you know, it means a lot to me that not only were you instrumental in a portion of what we've created, like each of you played an integral role in the Lifestyle Investor brand. Each of you. I mean, this is powerful, but what is even more meaningful than the role that you played is the fact that you actually read the finished product and that you have been able to take action in your life and make positive impact. That is really cool, because it's easy. I mean, you're all busy people, and every one of you. Yeah, I mean, Ryan, you're a 2-time best-selling author. Amber, you've worked with like tons of people that are best-selling author. I mean, you're talking like highest level. Mike, you've written like 8 books. I mean, so not only do you have your own books, you guys all know all the other people that are bestsellers, like you're friends with the bestsellers. So I know how much, you're inundated with different things. So it means the world that you would take the time to dig into this one. So thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's easy. It's easy when it's real. Yeah, it's easy when it's authentic and it's real. Because you're right. I think all of us, Amber, Mike, myself, we all get asked to do a lot of different things. And sometimes you get tired running out of excuses to say why you can't do things, why you can't participate. And the fact is, you're just, there's only so much time that you have. But this one was an easy one for me to say yes to, just because of the real impact that it's had. And I know this phrase gets overused, but the contents of this book has changed my life. And that's not hyperbole, that's not exaggeration, that in a real way. The deals that, Justin, you talk about in the book are some of the deals that I've actually invested in. Those deals, combined with other deals, have generated multiple 6 figures in passive cash flow for me and my family. It's put us in a position right now, at this very moment, that I could literally unplug my headphone and said, I'm done. Forever, because of you. So I have a huge debt of gratitude that I owe you, and it's real. Now, there's a lot that I've done and that my family's done to get to this point, but without the right information, the right strategies, the right tactics, what you teach, it would not be possible. So it's easy when someone comes to me and says, is this guy the real deal? I've had conversations with people who have considered investing in your higher level programs. And I've gladly said, absolutely, I'm an open book. Ask me whatever you want. You want to know the deals that I've invested in, what I've made off those deals, what I've learned, how I've saved money in taxes from what I've learned from Justin. It's all real. So anyone who's watching this right now, now's the time that I would say, hit the pause button, open up a new tab in your browser, go to lifestyleinvestor.com, get yourself a copy of the book. As you're considering how many copies of the book that you want to get, you might as well get a couple while you're at it, to Mike's point, because you've got clients, you've got colleagues, you've got family members. This is a great gift. Share it with your adult siblings if you've got brothers and sisters. Share it with your parents. Share it with your kids, depending on what age they're at. I've got kids who are 6 and 8 years old, and I'm already teaching them these concepts. They already know some of what Justin has taught me. I'm starting them at an early age because I want to empower them so that by the time that they're a young adult, they'll not only be armed with this information, but they'll be armed with the possibilities. So I believe it's never too young to get started, never too late to get started. As you think vertically and horizontally in your life, you might as well get 4, 5, 6 copies while you're at it, because you're gonna have someone in your life that you wanna share this with. So lifestyleinvestor.com, you see the buy now button right there. Justin, what's the best way? Click on the button. What's gonna serve and support us at the highest level? Is it to click on that button? I'm not sure who's driving the show behind the scenes. Go to that link. It's Amber, you're doing this, or? Oh, okay, cool, all right. Go to this link here, and yeah, I've already bought. If I log in my Amazon account right now, I've already bought multiple copies. I definitely have the Kindle on every device that I own, my iPad, my phone. I've got multiple physical copies that I've ordered. Like Mike, I'm waiting for my hardcover to arrive at my house. I'm sure it'll be here any day now. But go ahead and do that, and you got some cool stuff, right, for people who have bought. Like some. Why don't you maybe talk about some of those gifts?
Yeah, talk about the bonuses. Good idea.
Love it. So, first of all, what's cool is Amber's team built out this incredible website. I mean, just a gorgeous, gorgeous website. And this page is really nice. And so you basically redirect to Amazon, come back, but you have an opportunity to get free gifts, which is also, kind of a cool part of what we're offering in this funnel. So I'm giving away my 10 commandments, just a one sheet. So if you want to print them out, you can actually have them in front of you. That way, you keep it top of mind. For a long time in my life, I used to print out my goals, my annual goals, and I put them on my bathroom mirror. And that way I looked at them every single day. So I was intentional, I was proactive. And until I developed the discipline and the habits to pursue them without doing that, that was my way to continuously remind myself. So I made a one sheet of the 10 commandments for the same reason. So people could print it out and stay on point and just have a nice reminder, a passive reminder that constantly says, hey, are you following these? And the second one is we're giving access to the first module of the Lifestyle Investor course. So I built out a really cool online course with tons of in-depth conversations and interviews that basically take the book from where it is and take it a few steps further and deeper. So I'm really excited about that. There are a lot of modules. This thing is kind of go at your own pace, and I'm thrilled with the end product there, and the reviews have been unbelievable.
They're loving it. They just want more and more and more.
I know. The third one is a 75-minute lifestyle investor online class that I ran. And so, right now, this is a class that was a live class that a lot of people who are now part of the mastermind went through. And so, that is, something I wanted to offer up to everyone, which is really cool. And then the fourth one, which is now off the screen, but if my memory serves me correctly, it's having an option to the Audible. So I'm actually there are 3 sections of the Audible, and I'm giving the first section of it, part 1, part 2, and part 3. And part 1 has all kinds of cool stuff like Murphy's Laws for the investor and kind of, my story and some case studies. And that is all going to be available on Audible. And in addition to that, I have an interview that I do after each of the chapters. So it's really pretty cool. I was inspired by David Goggins when I read his book, Can't Hurt Me. And he did this interview after each chapter. And I was like, this is amazing. It's like a podcast plus audio book, together. I'm like, I want to do that. So it's been in my mind for a while. And so when I recorded the book, I recorded it myself. And then we did a session with interviews after each chapter, which was really neat.
Awesome. Look at
So
this.
no matter what however you learn, whether you're an auditory learner, a visual learner, you're a reader, Justin's thought through everything, and there's a community here. I think ecosystem is really important when you start investing and just getting involved in Justin's ecosystem. So if you just start by getting the book and then either watching or listening to the podcast, he's been doing them both as audios and videos. So it's just easy to put Justin in your pocket and take him everywhere you go and expand your thinking and your mindset. And again, I think that's the most important thing. So, my advice is go in there. Kindle, like I said, the Kindle version's on sale right now. So you could get 5 or 10, you can give them as gifts. And that way you'll have a conversation you can have with your loved ones as well. I know on this trip, Vivian and I, my wife, we were away for 4 days. And we planned our entire 2021 year around lifestyle first. So we planned all the trips we're planning on doing, despite the fact that there's a pandemic. We're not letting it get in the way. We jumped in the car on Friday and drove to Las Vegas from San Diego. It was fun. We had a amazing time hiking in the in Red Rocks, and the whole time we were talking about our financial future, what we're going to plan. And one of the topics that came up, Justin, was I said, we're part of the thing is we're planning our lifestyle around the people we love. And I said one of my goals is we're going to head down to Austin and spend some time with you and your wife as well, and just deepen our relationship. But the point of this is, start with the people, start with those bucket list items, and that's going to create that drive and that desire to craft and create the lifestyle you want. But it's driven by, really the subtitle of the book, which is Cash Flow Investing for Passive Income and Financial Freedom. And there are strategies and techniques that you can use right now today. But get your family involved. Have these conversations with your spouse, your children, your significant other, whoever it is, and build an an ecosystem that you live in that supports the lifestyle you want as well.
That's awesome. That's so powerful. And I love seeing you put it into practice in your world. I mean, that is so neat. And I am so impressed with each of you, and what I also really appreciate, Mike, I know you've got a live event all day today and you're here. Ryan, you're running a live event, your own, huge event, and you're still here. Like literally, you're going to have to leave in like any minute, maybe right now, because you've got a live event like that is about to start, in like minutes. And so, I really appreciate that. And Amber, you are as busy as a person is because you're working multiple launches at the same time. And so it's just so amazing that you're all able to make the time to be here to hang. You're welcome to hang as long as you want, but I obviously know that you have things to do. So I want to honor that and make sure that that you're free to go whenever you need to go.
Well, I do.
Thanks.
I appreciate that, Justin. I do have to run here in a minute, but I do want to say one last thing before I do, and that is thank you to you for putting this out there. Really, we've had many lunches together, conversations, and I've had the question. I asked you. I said, "You sure you want to do this?" Right? You did. You warned me. You've got a great life. You've got an amazing
Books are
life.
hard.
A book is a lot of work, and when you put it out there, what happens is people start reading the book. And then people start reaching out to you and saying, hey, can you do an interview? Can you be on my TV show? Can you do this? Can you do that? And so it's a big decision. And I'm just grateful that you made the decision to share this with the world, where you could have decided to just keep it with yourself, maybe a few, friends and keep it small. But you decided to put this out there in the world in a big way. And I'm really excited. I think this is the start of something really, really, really big. I think this is the start of a movement. I think this is going to be one of the biggest books ever in the world of personal finance and investing. I think it is going to be one of these seminal books that's on top 10 lists for years and years and years to come. A must-read book. It's a must-read book for everybody watching this or listening to this right now. I cannot stress that enough. Just get yourself a dang copy of the book now. Read it, and you'll be so glad that you did. It is going to be one of these books that as soon as you open it up, you're going to be up till 4 a.m, losing track of the time and saying, I can't believe I just read this book cover to cover. It's that good. So Justin, Mike, Amber, thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. Justin, Mike, we'll talk soon. Amber, we'll talk soon as well.
Yes.
Take care, guys. Talk soon. Justin,
Yeah.
congrats, man.
Bye.
And everyone watching this, lifestyleinvestor.com. Get your copy.
Woohoo!
It's a no-brainer for
That was
sure.
so great. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so funny because he did warn me. He's like, you got a good life. What are you doing? Like, do you get what you're doing? So I think I'm going to have to be working really hard on my no muscle, saying no to things, so that way I can protect my time. But this content needs to be out in the world. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah.
Well, I think what is important is, and I told you this entering into this, there would be a sacrificial year to get all the parts and pieces in place. And what you've done, that's great. That's really serving everyone who's watching and listening to this right now is, and just to give you a little backgrounder, yes, Justin has an amazing lifestyle. And he accepted the challenge of crafting and creating a platform basically from scratch. You had no social presence to speak of, no website. No one really knew who you were, but they needed to. Mm-hmm. So committing to the book, the audiobook, the product, the mastermind, coaching, building the website with Amber and her team, working with the publishing team with Carrie, and all the ands. Doing just this takes an enormous amount of coordination. Launching your podcast, doing the branding, getting on. How many podcasts have you been on to promote this book?
Around 75.
Yeah. All right. So, for you watching or listening to this right now, Justin's committed and set aside his own lifestyle in order to serve and get this information out there. And he could have done it bit by bit, piece by piece, and taken 3, 5, or 7 years to do it, or do things the way he always does things, which is go full in, be completely coachable, immerse himself, surround himself with really, really talented people who can get stuff done fast. He's a very coachable and a great listener. And I share that with you because that's the kind of leader you want to work with, especially when it comes to money related things. You want someone who's not only coachable, but can be a great coach. He understands it from both sides and is actively demonstrating this, and his behaviors reflect it. And so did the results, because Justin, you've built a successful platform that started making money almost instantly. And very few people, again, have the courage, the confidence, the clarity to pull that together. And it is a sign to me that those who can do all that are also going to be great leaders to follow too. So that's my shameless plug for you, man.
Well, I appreciate it. And, you know, it means a lot. And it has been a lot of hard work. I mean, I think I'm lucky that it was kind of a weird year where I was like, well, I got some time, you know, but it's a different way of doing things, right? It's time spent differently. It's a whole new world to me. I'm a novice at the lowest level when it comes to a brand and social media and, you know, all this, you know, having digital products and online products. And this has been a really fun process, an inspiring process. And more than anything, like, even if it, you know, obviously there's a demand in the market for it. Otherwise it wouldn't have taken off the way that it has. And I'm thankful for that. But more than the success that it's had, it's two things. Number one, it's the impact that it's had, because I can see real life success stories happening inside the mastermind community, you know, our lifestyle mastermind, you know, team and tribe. And then also it's getting me out of my comfort zone and allowing me a chance to learn and grow and do something different and know what it's like to not know everything. You know, I spend a lot of time in my area of expertise. And so when I jump out of that area, it's really nice when, you know, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get people who don't know how to take the first step in investing, because I don't know how to take the first step in building a brand. So it's nice. It makes me more relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. You jumped into it in a totally fearless way. And that's really blows me away, Justin. You just know how to grab the old bull by the horns and ride into the sunset. So great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, Brad Johnson, how you doing, my friend? I cannot hear you. Let's see. Is it just me? I don't hear. Casey, can you hear by chance? You look real sharp. That's for sure. Try hitting the mic. Okay. So for those of you, as we're waiting for Brad here, Brad Johnson is a dear, dear friend. And I'm absolutely thrilled that he is joining us. In fact, we have had some great times. If you haven't checked out my podcast, you can go to justindonald.com/podcast or lifestyleinvestor.com/podcast. Any of those, you can check it out. So Brad was my very first. So Ryan Levesque, who you guys just met, was my very first guest, but I didn't interview him. He interviewed me, which was really interesting. I wanted to set it up in a way to help people understand what the podcast was all about. So Brad was actually my first real guest that I interviewed. So, and now we can hear you, Brad.
I'm here.
Yeah. So glad to have you. So glad that you can be part of this, because you are very instrumental. In fact, I put in the acknowledgments that you're one of the OGs, one of the original gangsters that started the Investors Club with me, that we did all kinds of fun deals. And gosh, we've been so blessed to have gotten to know each other, have our families hanging out, doing fun trips. I mean, our friendship is just one of the greatest treasures in my life. I just want you to know that.
Well, it's mutual, man. It's amazing what locking yourself in your home for a few months will create. And it created, the OG Lifestyle Investor Zoom call. And I think shortly followed by the Lifestyle Investor Happy Hour. I think that was the order it went in.
That's right. That's right. Both were very necessary.
Yes, absolutely.
And we had some good wine. It was actually really funny because during our happy hours, it was like, and for those of you that don't know, Brad and I both love our wine. And we recently took an unbelievable trip to Blackberry Farm where we brought our spouses, and you'll be hearing from Casey Weed later, who was part of it, and Sean Sparks, who was part of it. And it was just a killer event. And we tried some of the best wine. In fact, we literally had the greatest bottle of wine that I have ever tried. It was unbelievable. And so I'll let Brad tell the story because it was his trip that he created and brought us all to celebrate a huge milestone in his world. So yeah, that's, we had a lot of fun.
Everybody that loves food or wine or just relaxing should experience Blackberry Farm at least once in their lives. I think I could be a salesperson for Blackberry Farm, as many friends as I've told about it. So yeah, it was kind of a combination. My wife and I had our 15-year anniversary last year in 2020. I turned 40. Also, all at the same time, I was stepping away from my previous job at one of the largest insurance brokerage firms in the US. So navigating all of these big life events all at the same time, and had a great group of couples. It wasn't just the husbands, it was some rock star wives as well. And so that was also what made the trip incredible. And so of course we cracked a few good bottles of wine. We had quite the lineup one night. And I can honestly say that first bottle, which was from DRC, one of the most famous wineries in the world that we had, is the top of the list that I've ever experienced. We didn't get the big boy, but we got a notch down, and it was still off the charts. So
it was
forward
incredible.
To the next time we get to crack one of those.
DRC, one of the greatest experiences of my life. And if you don't know what DRC is, look it up.
And then try to pronounce it. Domaine Romani Conti, I believe is how it's said. Yeah. This is where we need our buddy D Lynn on to shoot us straight.
That's right. Oh, I didn't even think about that. It would have been so cool to invite D Lynn. I had him join us for our mastermind, and D Lynn did a wine event, a wine tasting with Fantesca, which is, Heidi Barrett, winemaker extraordinaire of Screaming Eagle. The greatest wine that has ever been produced in the U.S., has won most awards, is, touted as a top 3 wine in the world. Hanging with all the old world elites. And so D Lynn came, and I had him do a special event just for my private clients and my mastermind that was off the charts. The wine was delicious. He was just incredible. And so that's a connection that I have because of you. So thank you.
Well, D Lynn he's like a poet, the way he can break down and grit a wine. So not only does he know wine, but how he presents it and educates on it is, I've never met anybody that has the skill set he does. I'm just a little bit jealous. I wasn't there. I know you were doing some cool things, but yeah, D Lynn is the man. And if you ever get a chance, that is one thing I would say for those wine lovers out there. It actually goes to what Justin's talking about in his book, Lifestyle Investor. It goes to, some of the things I did in finance with my podcast. Go find a coach. So if you love wine, just go hang out with like the best in class guys that know wine. You will learn so much. You'll realize you're way in over your head, but it's a fun experience if you enjoy that and you want to go deeper on any topic like that.
For sure. So, hey, you've got some cool stuff going on. You've launched your own business. I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit. This is an exciting time in your world.
Yeah, I look back at 2020. 2020 was a weird year for everyone. And obviously some unprecedented things in the world going on. But I decided to quit my career of almost 14 years in 2020, turned 40. And, maybe part of it, if I'm really honest with myself, maybe part of it was a little mini midlife crisis. But the way I look at things, much like one of the lines I love out of your book is you made the choice to invest in a way that allowed you to control your time. And one of the things, the Daily Stoic, I'm a big fan of it. It's a daily reader on Stoicism. The month of December is all on mortality. So you ever want to like get yourself straight with the world, just read some Stoicism on mortality and how, you know, life, as much as we think it's infinite and we, you know, binge out on Netflix and waste a whole weekend, in reality, it's gone in the blink of an eye. And I really looked at it as, you know, as I chase my dreams, and I've had some success in finance, coached some of the largest advisors in the country, built a fairly substantial podcast following for independent financial advisors. I just realized it was time for me to take that next leap. And I was super grateful for the company that I got my start at, and really exposed me to all of these incredible advisors, as well as all of these incredible thought leaders. We had guys like Tony Robbins, Darren Hardy, you know, on our stages on a regular occurrence. And it was just time for me to build my own thing. And so yeah, that was kind of the thesis behind it. The other thing, Justin, just to expand on it, what you're doing right now. Amber, who's behind the scenes, by the way, hi Amber, you're awesome. Her whole company, we did a live stream series back in March when the pandemic was first hitting. And all of these financial advisors that were very much brick and mortar businesses running live events at restaurants, terrestrial radio shows that nobody was listening to anymore because they weren't in their cars. They were trying to figure this out just like all you other business owners out there. And so I ran a live stream series just like what you're doing, Justin, where I brought in some digital experts, people that had run Facebook funnels, people that had LinkedIn strategies, the Nicholas Kuzmiches, the Joshua B. Lees of the world. And these were outside people that I was bringing into our space because they had frameworks I knew that I could apply. So it was a little bit of a lab, and I love to nerd out on that stuff. I have an IT background. And what it just made me realize is there's this gap of all these advisors that need help. They have no idea what to do. And there's all these experts that live in different worlds that they've never been exposed to. So why is nobody marrying this together? So that was really what led me in the direction that I'm heading really hard in right now.
That is awesome. And man, I'm so excited for you. I'm so proud of you. I love seeing what you're building. I love seeing the impact you have. Your podcast is unbelievable. The Elite Advisor Blueprint. If you haven't ever checked that out, that is a killer podcast. And so,
which is also in a rebrand right now. So I haven't put out an episode since July or August when I stepped away from my previous gig, and it's killing me. I got to get back. But actually, the last podcast I did was the one I did with you, Justin. And so that's currently in relaunch phase. So we'll have a new one coming out here pretty soon, right around the corner.
That's cool. Well, I'm excited about that. And quite frankly, I've had a lot of people reach out to me because of, you know, your episode and hearing about me on your podcast. So I appreciate that. And, you know, our communities are very tightly knit, just from a friend group, but also just we play in the same space, and we want to see, you know, great things happen. We want to see, you know, advisors thrive, but we want them to do that the right way and work with their clients at the highest level, you know, and really just give premier. I mean, what Brad does is he helps people to give their clients like world-class experiences and make sure they're serving them the way that they need to be served, which I think is great. We need more of that in this world.
Hey, and sorry all if I've got a little echo on my side, not the ideal audio situation here, but it's not a podcast studio that I'm used to. So I apologize for that if there's a little echo on my side.
It looks sharp though. I've never seen you record from this place before. Is this the new setup or what?
This is the new setup. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
I you know, as much I love my family, Justin. That was how we connected first, was on the family side and a dad's retreat with our mutual friend John Broman, who I'm sure is somewhere in this lineup that you've got going.
Yeah. We'll be hanging with him at noon.
But there's only so much business you can do from your house with 3 kids running around. So I had to step out and get some office space so I could get back to work.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's easy to get interrupted.
Yes,
That's what I've noticed. Hey, Dad, I need you for this. And that, by the way, was a great joy in the beginning. And I'm glad that it's like acceptable where you could be on Zoom, on a video, on a podcast. Your kids can come running in and it's like, all right, that's cool. So I'm thankful for that. But if that happens over and over and over and over, it's hard to, get things done. And some of the boundaries then get blurred of work time versus family time. But at the end of the day, we both pick family, and I think that's cool, but it's nice to have that space that is kind of protected where you can stay in one line of thinking and not have the constant distractions that take you out of your creative space. At least that's what I've noticed for me.
Same. Yeah. It's one of the things that I've grown to appreciate about you is, number one, it's just like principle number one in your book, you lead with lifestyle first. But when you're working, you're a man that goes by your calendar and you're like, here's my to-dos for the day. And I found almost without exception, every successful person I've ever crossed paths with is very disciplined when it comes to their calendar. And here's family time, here's work time. Not that they don't sometimes overlap, but that's how you get things done.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I know you're the same way. It's really funny because in March, as things started, technically we've been hanging out a ton. Brad and I, for the longest stretch, had accountability calls every single week about how to be better dads, how to be better husbands. And so that kind of evolved into some investment calls and an investors club. And, Brad's one of the original guys in that group. And so it's funny because we were doing stuff like this prior to the pandemic, but then the pandemic sets in and it's like, hey, let's do more of this because, we're home, we're around, let's do it. And, let's just look at deals and find some investments to do. And, part of it is we wanted to find a way to be able to increase cash flow in the event of a transition, right? Like that is a helpful component where you can leave and your lifestyle can stay the same. And I think there's a lot of power in that. And I admire you for being able to make that huge move and that huge choice. It's, obviously it served you really well, and it's cool to see what you're building now. But it's funny, like how much time we had and we spent before we kind of worked on this new project, and then stuff gets filled up pretty quick. And so it's fun being connected here, and we're overdue for a good long chat as well.
Well, the way I had a mentor once tell me there's seasons in life. And sometimes you go through these busy seasons, or, maybe you lost a loved one or had a bad breakup for those listening in. And maybe that's like winter where everything feels, cold and frigid, but spring's right around the corner. And I think we're both going through these seasons where you're working harder than I think I've seen you work since I've known you. I'm working harder where it's all hands on deck focus. And so, yeah. We kind of gone through this season where we fell out of our routine, but we'll get it right back on track. And that's also why we're in things like the Front Row Dads, because that's the gravitational pull that brings you back to center where you need to be long term. So yeah, it's all good, man. I forgive you for missing those last 4 calls.
Well, it's what's great is when you don't have to work, but you choose what it is that you work on. And that's where you experience some real professional joy, because you're not doing it for any other reason, or at least the driving force is because you believe in it, you're passionate about it. You don't have to, you get to, and you get to do it on your schedule, on your time, when you want to, for as long as you want to. You get to work with who you want to work with. I mean, it's a powerful place to be, but guys like us would go crazy just sitting at a beach, having pina coladas all day. Mm-hmm. Like that's not how either of us are wired, but it's really cool being able to pour into something that you believe in, that you want to have impact on the world beyond just what it does for you. And I think that's cool what you're building.
Yeah. I feel like I've got a lot of perspective. And what was cool is I had you as a guy that could counsel me on some of this stuff, because you made a really similar leap a few years back where you had a well-paying, very well-paying job, and you were successful at it. You had a great team, but it was this trade your time for money game. And that was kind of a lot of what I saw in my role. I mean, I was really well taken care of. Great. I mean, the best company. If you're ever going to be an employee, it was the best company to work for in Kansas, in my opinion. But I didn't have full control, and I didn't have autonomy to build the things that I wanted to build, because, you're an employee at a company. And the way I see it is that scary part is there's a great book that I was recommended from one of my clients called The Dream Giver. And it really got into the psychology. The main character's I think his name's Anybody. That's his actual name in the book, Anybody, who comes from the land of the known. And he wants to someday become a somebody and venture into the land of the unknown. And none of his friends ever venture into the land of the unknown because it's scary. And it was crazy. I'm reading this book. It's a little parable. And he gets like halfway away from the land of the known. And he's like, I've got to go back. And all of his friends are telling him, you're an idiot. You're crazy. Why would you ever go there? Look at how good you've got it here. And what was so crazy about this parable was like, it was the same story that was in my head. It was on replay, but I knew like this is calling to me. I gotta go do this. So it's really scary up until the moment that you make the decision to break away. What's crazy is the moment I released that pressure from myself and I just ventured on, I've literally felt no pressure since. I've looked back and I'm like, I'm good. You break the constraints and then you're good to move on. And that's what I love about your book is you're teaching people. It's not just a money thing. It's a psychology thing. It's here's how to do. You've got one take at this life, go do it. Here's how to get where you want to go. So I love that you're talking from experience. A lot of your experience helped me on those bad days where I could reach out to a friend that could counsel me on that stuff. But just for those listening in and watching this live stream, I want you to know if you're having those thoughts or feelings, or if you're at a full-time gig and you got a side gig that's taken off, that's really your passion, trust me, if you're human, you'll second guess yourself. You'll talk yourself out of it. You'll do everything that we've all done along the journey. I mean, is that fair, Justin? How many of those conversations did you have?
Tons. And you question, like, am I making a poor choice? Is this not good for my family? Like, am I being irresponsible? Like I have it pretty good. I have it better than a lot of people. So yeah. Is this, just a bad move, like not respecting what it is that I have? And, just so many thoughts go through your mind. And it's really interesting because there's a lot of weight that I at least found myself carrying, like this big, heavy backpack, full of just stuff like weights and heavy books. And it was just like holding me down, but I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't know that it was a backpack. I just felt a lot of weight. And some days I couldn't even articulate what it was. But the moment I made that decision, even though it may not have been, what other people would have wanted me to make, or may not have been the popular one, or may not have, corporately from their standpoint been the right decision or move, it really is like that backpack was taken off. And I knew it was such a great move because of what I felt, the liberation, the just the weightlessness, the ability to kind of like float a little bit. It was really, I don't want to call it magical, but it was an experience I had never felt before.
Yeah, it's just like I felt it's hard to put into words. It's a freedom. It's like a weight off the shoulders, where I remember when I had that conversation that I was going to move on, I was like, there was so much thought and anxiety and pressure I'd put on myself leading up to that. But I remember being at complete peace on my drive to that conversation to just let the head guys know I was going to move on. It was because I thought so deeply and I thought from every angle, and I just knew it was the right choice. It was just a scary one. And I had a friend once tell me the only thing more addicting than heroin, by the way, he wasn't a heroin addict. He was using an analogy. The only thing more addicting than heroin is a weekly paycheck. And I think it's really true. I think a weekly paycheck keeps people from chasing their dreams more often than not, which once again, this isn't the Brad Show. This is the Lifestyle Investor book launch. I love that you condense that down into a book and you're sharing it with people. And, everybody might not agree with every single of the 10 principles you do, but I can tell you, being a guy that's grown up in finance the last 14 years, there's so much there that is the keys to that kingdom to allow people to step away. So what is it, like a $15 investment? Go buy the dang book. And if you only like 2 of the rules, you're further ahead. So
yeah, technically you can get it for 99 cents on ebook this week. Then it'll go back to normal price. But the paperback I think is $15 and the hardcover's $25 or 24, something like that.
Well, what are they waiting for, man? Go get it.
That's what I say.
I'll be your pitch man. I don't want you to sell your own book. I'll sell it for you.
I like it. I like it a lot. Well, I just wanted to have impact, and it's all going to a good cause. It's the educational cause is to create a higher level of thinking and a stronger mindset around what's possible. And then the proceeds are going to different charitable organizations. And right now, Love Justice International is the one that I am most excited about. And I just am so passionate about the work that they do. So, you're welcome to go donate even directly to them right now for anyone that's hanging out with us, because they do great things. But also know that any purchase that you make of the book, any copies that you get for friends and family and colleagues, clients, all those proceeds are also going to that charity. So you can support it both ways, or one way or the other way. I just would love to create more attention for Love Justice International.
Are these banners on demand? Is your team literally just taking what you're saying?
Yeah,
Amber, you've evolved since when I was working with you. You're awesome.
Yeah,
and Casey, I see on here.
Casey's running this now, and she is the best. Her and Amber are just amazing to work with, and Hannah as well. So our team is just incredible. I feel so pleased and so privileged to work with NG Enterprises, and just everything that they've built and created, and the support system that they've been able to provide. Like I couldn't have done any of this without them. And I know that because you use them.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Justin. What
Sure.
was the I've seen this process of you taking on everything that was in your head, putting it into a book. I know that's a ton of work. I've had multiple friends write books. It's still on my bucket list, so I'll get one out there. But what was the most surprising or experience you didn't expect from the whole book process? Just out of curiosity.
That is such a great question. And it's such an emotional experience. So part of it's like, I'm in my head writing things that I know. And then after a period of time, I'm in my heart writing things. And, there was a section where I was writing my acknowledgments, and I was writing, just how thankful I was for my parents and the upbringing that I had, and just who they are. And I'm literally like typing, and I've got tears rolling down my face, and I'm just, going at it. And I'm literally like, I've lost my, control of my emotions. And, I'm just, it was a magical moment, because I really got in touch with who I am, and, the people that impacted me the most. So that was a cool experience, and I did not expect it. I mean, I did not think I was going to get emotional writing a book. I mean, I get emotional right now. I'm like, hold it, keep it together, Justin, keep it together. I don't want to, I'm not ready to just let loose here, but it's crazy when your emotions just take control. Like, I'm typing away, I'm typing thoughts, I'm typing stories, I'm typing memories, and those things are triggering other memories. And so there's just so much that when I got in the zone of writing this, I was like, you know what? I never thought I was an author. I never considered myself a writer. It just, I always wanted to write a book. I mean, that's been on my dreams list for a long, long time, but like, I don't consider that who I am. But as I'm writing and I'm having fun with it, and I'm like, I actually think I've got it in me to write a lot. I think there's a lot of books I could write. And I believe that this, could be the beginning of that. And I don't know where the path's going to take, but I mean, there's so much that's not included in this book. There's so much that got cut out of this book for this issue. I mean, I've got pages and pages and pages if I were to write another book that could be there. But that whole process, the unknown emotional response was just amazing. And to get in touch with my heart, not just my head, really was the greatest part of writing this. And when I first started writing it, I was emotional as well, because, one of our friends, and this is, both John Kane and John Vroman, is a 1-2 punch. These guys really talked about what it would look like if if I died and my daughter didn't know all this, and she never learned these ideas and concepts that I had and didn't help set her up. And I was like, man, that is rough. Like, I got real teary-eyed about that. So when I first started writing, I was emotional just because I was like, let me capture the most important stuff just in case anything happens to me, like really fast, So even the beginning of it, it was a little bit, and I was like, yeah, that's probably just, just some emotions coming out. I didn't anticipate anything else, but really it was an emotional process.
Dude, thanks for sharing that. I mean, you just hit on something that I just realized is what helped me go through the really emotional process of me stepping away from a company I'd helped build from the ground up. And essentially my whole professional career, it was like part of my identity. I know you can relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
I know our buddy John coming on here can relate to that too. Zooming out is really key to making tough decisions. So as you're writing this book, which is a big undertaking, you're zooming out. You're like, what if I'm not around and Savannah can't take these lessons and there's nobody to teach them? Well, you put them in a book. And the thing for me, I'm sitting here telling each of my 3 kiddos, go chase your dreams, work your butt off, get uncomfortable. And then I'm sitting here and I'm like kind of stifling some of my dreams and holding back. And that was where I went to. I said, if I'm on my deathbed at 90 years old and my kids are looking down on me, are they going to say, Dad modeled what he told us to do? Or are they going to say, Dad told us one thing and did another? And so for any of you that are out there and stuck in this kind of, what I love about the Lifestyle Investor, it's like giving you the playbook. But if that's the hook, if that's where you're stuck, zoom out. Don't look short-term, look long-term. And that will really help you get straight on what is the right choice for you. That it did for me. And it was just cool to hear your version of that too.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. And thanks for the great question. I mean, you have been known to ask incredible questions, to be just a great question asker. And part of the reason you're such a great podcaster is that exact reason. But just as a friend, you're just such a great friend. And here's another one of our great friends that we just love doing stuff together. Mr. Giftology himself, John Ruhlin. What's up, John?
What's up,
Johnny?
fellas?
What's up? Hey, I'm not going to intrude on your time, but I do want you to know, John, I was driving down the highway. I was like, I have not talked to Ruhlin in a bit. I need to give him a shout. So here's our short term. I'm going to hit you up, buddy. We're going to catch up. All right.
I like it. It sounds great, man. I would thoroughly enjoy that.
Well, what's up, John? It's so good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. I love the background. You got such a cool setup, man.
Yeah, it's I'm fortunate here, good old Edwardsville, Illinois, to have a nice co-working space and a good office. So this is my favorite backdrop for sure.
And I've been there, and I love that space. And in fact, my wife and I are in love with the juice place right across the street that every time we're in town, we frequent. I believe it's called Source. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's for a town of 25,000 people. There's things that are here that you wouldn't expect in a little country town outside of St. Louis. So yeah, Source is awesome. Artisan coffee. You got the James Beard nominated restaurant down the street, Cleveland Heath. So yeah, it's a fun little Mayberry kind of town.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you have had a lot going on. This has been an exciting year for you. I mean, obviously you, number one, are, an author, a speaker. You are the foremost expert on gifting in the world. Like John Ruhlin is the gift expert that exists. And it's so cool because other brands are actually trying to take your brand of giftology, like well-known, like Waterford, high-end, products. And they're using your words, which is so cool. I mean, probably like annoying in part, but like really cool and flattering in part. And so it's cool seeing that. But this year has really changed a lot for you. We got a chance to spend some good time here in Austin, hanging out while you spent, a season here. And wow, tell me what's going on, man.
Yeah, well, we just got back from Nashville. We've been kind of doing the tour of checking out cool cities and hanging out with close friends and So yeah, we're actually getting ready to come back to Austin to hang out for a bit longer and figure out what kind of the next steps are for our family. But since 2020 was such an interesting year, we decided time for an adventure. And so our 4 girls and I and my wife, Lindsay, who obviously you know well, we spent a few months in Austin hanging out with, the Vromans and Nikolais. And, frankly, I spoke more in 2020 than I've ever spoken. So it's weird for a pandemic kind of year for speaking to take off. But, when you collapse time and can reach a global audience from your little studio, whether it's in Austin or Illinois or Nashville or wherever, like it's been pretty awesome to be able to have things continue to spread and go viral. And so it's been interesting, definitely some curveballs, but overall, like it's been, we've reached more people, sold more books, and the book's been out for 4 years. So it just keeps, I think we just passed 600 reviews globally on Amazon, which, for a self-published book is kind of crazy that it's reached that many people. And I
can't believe it's been 4 years. I can't believe. I read your book before it was ever I read the original binding. I don't know if you remember when we sat down I had the original first.
You bought the first 100 copies. You bought back when we had to print them by paperback because I couldn't get them printed yet in hardcover other than the original 50 that were handmade. But you were one of the early adopters, and you're like, yeah, I'll buy 100 copies. And so what's funny is we don't even make paperbacks anymore. So usually the paperback comes later. Ours came first because we ran out of time. As you know, when you're launching something, we drew the line in the sand. I had the kickoff party in Ohio with a few hundred people, and I had to have books, and I already sent out the invites. That was like my way of creating accountability. My business partner was like, we're setting the date now, but the paperback isn't even available anymore. So people are like, hey, I want to order some paperbacks. I'm like, go talk to somebody else because we don't sell them anymore, which is kind of funny. I think the hardcover just feels so much nicer, and it's more in alignment with our brand. But anyway, yeah, dude, you were one of the early ones. You probably read one of the original Galley copies, really.
I believe I did, and then I also went back last year. I think I told you this last year because I was like, I actually want to listen to it now. It's been some time since I've read it, and I read it a few times. Because I read the original one, I read it when I got it, and yours is such an easy read, which is great. It just flows. It's like easy to get through, and so I listened to the Audible, and that was great. So I love that you have that product as well, because I think a lot of people consume content that way, and I'm excited to launch my Audible. Apparently, Amazon wants to take their sweet time because it's not up when all the other books are up, but at some point it's going to be up. We have a guaranteed release sometime within the next 15 business days, but
Amazon
on their own schedule.
Even shipping books, like that's not their priority anymore. Like there's a lot of other things. Even though they got known for books, unfortunately they're not the easiest to work with, and they're very customer centric. They're not so much on the vendor centric side of things as we found out with some other companies we've invested in. So good luck.
Yep, there's no doubt. It's cool seeing this process for you. I didn't realize that you made that shift to hardcover. I love that. In fact, it makes me want to, in time, potentially do the same thing, because the hardcover is just such a better feel, look, vibe. There's something from a branding standpoint where it carries a certain different echelon of the brand, right? So I like that. And it's cool. You have 600 reviews. Good for you, man. I mean, I was looking at books that, so when I made my resources list of like all the books that were most impactful to me, what's up, Tim? I was looking at some of the reviews and I was shocked at how few reviews some of these books that are like well-known books that like so many people have read, but just no one ever reviewed them. Like there are not many. I mean, you have way more reviews than some of the most widely sold books in the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anymore, like when you go to buy a product on Amazon, you look at does it have more than 20 or 50 reviews? People care, and it changes the algorithm. So we've been intentional. It's like, I'd like to say like magically just all these reviews came in on accident, but no, I mean, it's been like, it's amazing what you get when you ask for a review or get creative on how to but we have, been fortunate to have most of them be positive. Although it's funny, take the time to read your 1 and 2 star reviews. It's pretty hilarious to see some of the feedback. Not everybody's a Giftology fan. 98% of them are, but there's about 2% that think it's the worst book on the planet, which keeps us humble.
There are always going to be people that, want to hate on what you do. And then also, I've also learned that if you're not standing firm on one thing in one direction, you're not at least creating some, not like crazy controversy, but if you don't stand so firm for something, then you probably aren't going to have people that are going to feel the opposite. Like, I've got to imagine that in my space, there are going to be some people that are going to.
You're going to get haters. Yeah, you're going to have some haters. If you don't have any haters, then you're probably not doing anything worthwhile.
Yeah.
So if nobody disagrees with you, then you're probably playing mediocre to the masses in vanilla. So it's if you're not that you purposely want to piss people off, but you can't. You got to stand for something. So
that's right. And if someone has a different philosophy and theory, they may, be a hater for that, the sake of that, or because they're afraid it might impact their business or hurt them or whatever it is. Tim, It's so good to see you. This is really cool because the three of us were part of like an old school, like we did goals, like goal setting and then goal accountability and quarterly calls for years. And so it's really neat, having you both on at the same time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And it's, so cool to see, the cover right there, right in the background. So what a coincidence.
What a coincidence. I like it. Well, Tim, for people that don't know Tim is an extraordinary investor, and a lot of people don't know he's an award-winning educator. Won basically one of the most prestigious awards you can win at one of the most prestigious schools that you can win it at, which is Acton MBA, and won Teacher of the Year, which is really cool. And he's been a teacher his whole life. He just hasn't had that title of teacher because he's taught me a lot of stuff over the years. And both of these two individuals, I gave acknowledgments in my book to because both of them had a profound impact on me and on my decision to write this book. Tim's was more around the mindset around money and the difference between the accumulation aspect of it versus the cash flow aspect of it. And so shifting from, more of like, a profit and loss statement to a cash flow statement, and the power of that, the power of cash flowing your life as opposed to just accumulating as much net worth as you can, which isn't, it doesn't create as much utility. And so, because a lot of people, they might have a lot of net worth, but if it's paper money, meaning it's, tied up in companies that they can't access that money, or, maybe it's in, real assets, but they're illiquid, that they could have a huge net worth, but be barely getting by based on the cash flow that they have. Whereas you could have someone that doesn't even have that huge of a net worth, but they have the cash flow to support their life however they want to do it. And that's a really great distinction. And so, Tim, I'd love to, have you share anything that that you think on the topic or just life in general.
It's interesting. It's interesting because a lot of times when I think back at that, I feel like a lot of it is still accidental, and the mindset shift is something that doesn't cost anything and, can happen, pretty quickly, but has a really, really significant impact on your life. And, there's a certain message that gets sent to a broad group of people by whoever sends that message. And, once you pull back the curtain, you start understanding, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, why that message gets sent. But that doesn't mean it's the only one, or it doesn't mean that it's right, or it doesn't mean that it will work for you or the best thing for you. So through the Cutco experience, I've had such a beautiful opportunity to meet a lot of people, sit down with 1,000 people, and a lot of them would be, happy people that were poor, happy people that were wealthy, unhappy people that were poor, and unhappy people that were wealthy. I remember sitting down with people with big houses that had a hard time spending $150 on some knives, because you could tell they were maxed out in their expenses, and you're just like, that doesn't sound right. And then I met this family in Kansas, and they were the most laid back, and they spent some money, and they did all these things. They were like, so chill. I'm like, what do you guys do? Like, well, we own 30 rental properties in Shawnee and Overland Park. And I was like, oh, tell me more. And, there's just a really interesting conversation inside it from that. And it was just something that people did not think like that. Most wealthy people in a nice neighborhood in Leawood, Kansas did not think like that, and I wouldn't characterize them as the most relaxed people. So that's kind of what I was judging by. So then I just started researching and reading, and, Robert Kiyosaki's thoughts, and Tim Ferriss is probably one of the first people that made the idea mainstream, the 4-hour work week. So, yeah, so to me, it just became interesting to start questioning it and discussing it, and then seeing that there's another option.
Well, you and I have probably had more. I've probably had more conversations with you than most people that I know on this topic, in one way, shape, or form. And so I'm so thankful for the time, the compounding of hours that we've been able to, just kind of probe this topic, and ways that, things I've gleaned from you, and just different ways of thinking, and different, bouncing ideas off you. So you've been a great resource, and more than anything, it's just fun to be able to talk to someone high level on something that there's, numerous different ways you can do it. There's a lot of ways to become financially successful or financially free, but you and I align on so much, and I love that. And you've built a great life with a great family. So it's been awesome to witness, because I had a front row seat. I've seen you since, the early days, where you're kind of figuring things out, like from the first real estate that you bought to the, large empire that you have today.
Well, I mean, all those words, I do appreciate it, but they're all, subjective, large and successful and great. I appreciate your view of that. And, really for me, it's just, somebody said that and it was just good. It's just, knowing what enough means for you. That's a very personal answer for every person. And that's why when people give me round numbers of how much they want to make, I always kind of go, is that 5 million because he got 5 fingers, or is there really something behind that that applies specifically to your house?
I love it. So, you can count on raw and real with Tim. Do not look for coaching unless you're ready for, the real deal, because he will not hold back, and he will question your thinking, and he will make sure that you're not just saying things for the sake of saying things.
That's why I don't charge anything, because my return levels would be insane.
I love it.
So, fair.
And John, you have been one of the biggest proponents I've had, probably the single biggest, for me writing a book. You have been a constant source of encouragement, and I mean, you've been talking about it since the day you wrote a book. So we're talking 4 years now. You've been in my ear, like, you should write a book. You should write a book on that and on this. And have you ever thought about teaching this? And sometimes you'll even get clever with it. And you're like, hey, have you ever thought about capturing some of your thoughts? Oh yeah, John, like in a book, so I'm
really subtle.
Yeah. I appreciate the prompting, man. It's great.
Well, dude, I remember having conversations with you, a decade ago about saying, hey, there's this group called EO. It's like YPO, EO, all these entrepreneurs. You're like, yeah, but how would I join? That stuff really doesn't apply to me. I'm like, dude, just show up. Would you just come to this event with me? There's another way. There's another group of, yes, there's, we all have great friends within Cutco Vector and other, church groups or whatever else. But yeah, it's, dude, I saw a decade ago, like where potentially, now you've exceeded what I originally was thinking that you would do inside of a group like EO, but it's, it's cool to be able to have friends like Tim that are brutally honest, to nudge and to encourage. And, I think we all want, we love to be told how awesome we are, but we also love to have somebody hold us accountable and make us better. And I think that, you become the people that you surround yourself with. And I've seen Tim pour into a lot of people, and you being one of them, probably one of the few people that has the creativity, but also the ability to take it and execute on it and take things and follow through, at a really granular, detailed level. There's a lot of people that talk a good game, and, Tim's a great executioner. I don't think he doesn't like the spotlight that maybe you or I do, Justin, of writing books and whatever else. He just wants to kind of be the guy behind the curtain doing his thing and kind of step away and, do the Irish goodbye and, disappear. But it's been cool to see a lot of our friends take different paths, but also some similar paths. And I think the book is something that's really powerful on a lot of different levels. You mentioned it with Brad, of having, reason of, from a family perspective, of legacy. But dude, I saw, what you're doing right now years ago. It's cool to see it come to fruition. And what's scary is with the book and with some of those things, like, the sky's the limit of where do you decide to take it. You already talked about writing another book. I didn't feel that way, by the way, after writing the book. I was like, I'm one and done. I'm out. Like, this is my one trick pony. Like, I was so exhausted. The fact that you're even thinking about writing another book just shows me that you have a different level of gears than I do, because I was definitely not feeling that at all as I launched the book. I was like, in fact, that's why I outsourced the Audible, was because I was so like just drained. I couldn't even think about reading my own book, which sounds lame and lazy. But I was just like, I want it to be world class, but I got to outsource that. I look back, I would kind of wish I had actually done it myself. So kudos on you for doing it. But
there's always time, John. You can do that right now if you want. I think the guy that you have read it is really good, but you can always do it now.
He's got the cool voice. Well, I have to wait another I think I have to wait 3 years. It was a 7-year agreement. I can buy it back, or I can get it back after 7 years, and I can go read it myself at that point. But who we partner with makes 50% of the royalties.
You should really get Justin involved next time, because I think you might be able to write your own book in 3 years and then have them pay you back as well.
I like it.
It wouldn't shock me or surprise me. The deals that Justin negotiates and the preferred terms are, you want him negotiating on your behalf, but not with you, against you on the other side of the table. That is for sure.
That's fair.
Well, I'm glad we're on the same team. But, I do clearly outline in the book, it's important to me also that people want to come back for more. People want that they feel that they were, they got a good investment, in terms of what they were looking for, that the next opportunity, they're the first ones back. So I do think that's important too. You want to get good terms that work for you. You don't want to invest if it's not a win. And whatever terms they give you, that's a win for them. They wouldn't have proposed it unless those terms worked. That doesn't mean they work for you. So my whole thing is I just want to make the terms work for me. And as long as those terms also work for them, then it works. I don't want to, beat someone up to the point that they begrudgingly do it. I want them to recognize that for me to make this work, to de-risk it, to give it enough return, it's got to look a certain way. And if they can get on board with that, great, we'll do it. And then hopefully that those terms are good enough on both sides that we want to do some repeat business together. And so far that has really been, a good source of the deals that I've done is repeat business, people coming back and kind of giving me, first option.
Yeah. Are you typically asking them to make the offer, or are you saying, here's the terms I could get behind?
No, I let people make an offer. I want to know what they're thinking. I want to understand the lens and framework that they're coming from. And most of the time, if someone needs an investment, they have an idea of what they want to do. So I want to know what that is. And it might be perfectly in line. I mean, if it's a great deal right out of the gates, I don't feel like I need to necessarily, get anything better. I mean, if they have a deal structured that's super fair both ways, sometimes I'm even like, in that instance where it's already a good deal, I don't want to rock the boat. But if it's not, and I need more protection, then I really need to make it so that I feel comfortable getting in it.
Makes sense.
And at that point, to be fair, I think, there's been a couple of times where, Justin has done some deals where, at least my story about it is that some of the people would not do it again early on in his career.
Sure.
And it was really cool because I thought you were, and this is why I gave it such a good endorsement, honestly, to mostly your character, because you had a really high level of curiosity to understand. A lot of time when that happens, I think a lot of people just want to avoid it. Be like, oh, that wasn't a great experience. Let me just move on. But for you, it was like, no, I really want to understand, and I really want to learn, and I want to get better, and then evaluate, and then put yourself on the other side of the table and be like, okay, would I have done the same thing if I was there? And there's a lot of beautiful learning that came from that. So, and this is where the intent behind that Justin's negotiations is really, really pure. So,
well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and you're right. Like I have learned from it, from maybe trying to be a maximizer or an optimizer early on, and that's a single transaction. Versus, with my last couple of deals that I did with some operating partners, they knew that I could have had more equity. I probably should have had more equity, but because that I was willing to do it, even based on a lesser amount, and it was significantly lesser than what I probably could have asked for. They came to me first, and they had people offering them investment dollars because of the success that they'd had, and they told them, no, we're going back to Justin because he's giving us, he gave us such great terms last time. We're going to give him the first shot, and if he doesn't want it, we'll consider it. And that was a real honor to me that they would give me that opportunity, but it's only because they had such a great deal. I didn't maximize. I made sure it was a good deal for me and for them, but I wasn't going for the jugular.
Right. And to me, the people who can really learn and people who can, continuously stay curious are the ones over time who will have good success. So kudos.
Thank you. Thank you. So what is new and exciting in your guys' world right now? I'm curious.
Go, Johnny.
No, dude, I already had the first 10 minutes of the call. I'm not gonna monopolize. You have to, that's,
Are you
selfish.
What's happening? Okay. On a personal level, are you talking about personally, business? Where do you want to go?
Whatever you want, man. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think on the business level, things are going really well. I think for a long time, I was trying to find a triangulation of kind of, maybe things that I was really excited about working on, that I was curious about, and then things that, I thought I could be good at, specifically, and then things that honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's a corny way to say this, but kind of maybe like move the planet forward. That's something that I was really interested in. I think after you get your personal things taken care of and what your enough number is, it can change. My original number had 3 kids on the list. Now there's going to be 5. So that number changes a little bit. But really generally, once you get your things taken care of, Peter Thiel said this, and whenever he talks, I think it's worth listening. And he said, one of the hardest things that I'm doing right now is trying to not compete. And that's important. So I've tried to really find that pure kind of way without trying to compete in games that I don't really want to win. So this new project is kind of a overlap of all of those. And in my view, the smartest people, the most ambitious people, should or ought to work on things that, give their gifts in a way that advances the whole race. So that's kind of how I see that. And I think we finally found a project. I found a project and a good team that we're working on that now. That's going to hopefully change how we look at work and change how we look at our contribution to work and how we reconcile this idea of like, I want to take care of my family, be secure, but also I want to love what I do. And right now it's a lot of it, I think, for a lot of people, that's not necessarily aligned. It's like, here's where you can make the money, but here's where, you can be happy doing it. And this job, you'll make the money, and 20% of the time you'll be happy, but 80% of the time you just have to suck it up because that's just how things are. But I don't think they necessarily need to be, if that makes sense. So that's what we're trying to figure out.
I love your Peter Thiel quote or comment, because we all grow up learning that competition is good and you compete and you win, or you give your best and maybe you lose. But when you have enough, often the competition that happens there is kind of a losing scenario, right? Because you don't need to compete for more. You don't need to, box other people out. And actually, you may even lose for yourself if you're dedicating too much time to this competition when it's at the expense of something else more valuable and precious, like relationships. And so, it's a really powerful point, Tim. I appreciate you sharing that.
Well, Simon has his book about infinite games and finite games, right? And there are different ones. One of the guys that I work with is, two-time gold medalist Olympic swimmer. And his whole first part of his career was a finite game with one winner and finite resources, right? It ends here, and there's only one guy that can do it, and da-da-da-da-da. But then when you transition to business, that's not the reality of business. It's not a finite game. There's multiple players. It doesn't end until you want it to end. So the rules have to change. And playing that game by the same rules that we play sometimes when we play sports, is not necessarily, applicable.
Totally.
So,
Johnny Vroman, three. So I got three of my favorite
No.
people here. This is so great.
What up,
I love it. All of us have had lots of time together. This is cool.
Who do you like most?
Oh gosh, I didn't think you were really going to go there. I like you all three the same, just like what you have to tell your kids.
both are a lie, or just one of the two is a lie? I don't know.
No, they're both true. I love you each for the own uniqueness that you have, and the special role that you play in my life. So, I mean, each of you has your own special page, your own special shout out. You're all very influential. I was very strategic today with, the people that were joining this event, the ones that had such a profound impact on me, on the book writing process, on many layers and, levels of the things that I've done over the years. And you guys are all just phenomenal cheerleaders and support system. And, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world because I have the greatest relationships and friends in the world. So, it's an honor to be sitting here with all you.
Yeah, you are pretty lucky.
I'll be the one with a good personality.
I like it.
Hey, on that note, I'm so appreciative of being a part of it. Let's have Johnny take some of the space. I'm excited to finish the book. I started already. Thank you for signing it. Might have you put the number 1. It's the first signed book ever.
You
I
are.
can keep it in my library.
You're literally number 1. I've never signed a book before.
Yeah. No need to compete, but I'm just saying.
I love it. No one wants to compete here. You just want to let your boys know what's up.
I'm going to have him sign mine number 23, Tim. Number 23.
Oh.
Ouch. You know me too well.
That's
really well
MJ at his finest. I love it.
Okay.
That's so cool. And John, you are welcome to stay. You're welcome to go. Whatever you want to do. We are so happy to have you. John Vroman, you're not allowed to go, but John Ruhlin, you have the option.
Dude, JB's got too much wisdom. I'm not going to try to compete with his great questions and follow up and whatever else. I'll get some time with both of you guys in the sauna when I'm back in Austin in like a week or two. So
you will, but before you go, why don't you and JV share a couple thoughts? Because I got to grab something. I'll be right back.
Awesome. Dude,
JV, I owe you a text back. I've been texting with McCarthy. But I don't have everything all laid out and finalized. I think we're going to push our flights back until the 22nd. So
okay,
that's what's going on there. So, dude, I'm excited to give you a big bear hug when I'm back in town. So,
Awesome.
When's Tatiana and your crew back from Key West?
They are back tomorrow. In fact, I saw Tatiana made a comment earlier. That was a little bit shocking because I wasn't expecting her to be listening to this, which is great.
Yeah, but I think she commented on when Tim and I were on as well. So she's been yeah.
Dude, that's so cool, man. I love that. That's really awesome. Yeah, she's been sending me pictures of the boys having key lime pie in Key West and walking around town. It's been awesome. They went on a boat excursion, and I was really thinking, I was like, if these guys have caught my seasickness, the part of my seasickness that has haunted me my entire life, they're going to have a miserable time. And then she sends me this picture of both of them laying down on the boat and she's like, they're sick as a dog. I was like, they're definitely kids. Yeah.
Even Ocean, huh?
Yeah. And their boys are listening too. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, well, that's awesome. What's up, boys? What's up, Vroman boys? That's awesome.
Strongest man in the world here.
That's right, dude. My kids refer to John Ruhlin as the strongest man in the world.
Well, and you are, right?
It probably has something to do with the fact that he picked up Tiger by his ankle and held him off the ground, 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, back when he wasn't,
Yeah, when he wasn't.
Back when he was 4 years old, not 11.
That's it.
Now, did I hear key lime pie, my favorite dessert in the world? Is that because Tatiana's in Key West? And I keep seeing messages from her. I'm like, oh, she's such a supporter. I love it.
It's so good.
I'm so jealous, though, because I know, John, you and I share this love. Last time when we did the dad's retreat in Key West or in one of the keys before it, Isla Morada, we got so much key lime pie. It's the most key lime pie I've ever eaten in a stretch of 4 days. I think we had it every single day.
It's probably the only part of the world that I will literally have key lime pie after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All on the same day for as many days as I'm there.
No joke. We literally were having it after each meal.
Yeah, that's right.
Even after breakfast. It was fantastic.
That, Justin, is the real lifestyle that we're chasing.
Yeah, here. Lifestyle investor. It's all about key lime pie.
That's right.
I think the last time I was in Key West was the anniversary celebration of Nikolai's, ironically.
Ooh. Oh, that's cool.
That was a good time. Southernmost house.
6 or 7. Yeah, it was awesome. I think that was the last time that Lindsay and I both have, either one of us have been to Key West. It was a great trip.
Such a special place. That's so cool.
Instead of 4.
I went with Vector back in the day, and I remember pieces of it.
Different season of Johnny B.
That is hysterical. Well, I am just so pleased again to have you guys. All 3 of us here are part of your organization, John, Front Row Dads, which has been one of the most impactful groups, one of the most impactful brotherhoods, one of the most impactful ways to learn and gather information and implement information and have accountability at the highest level. And so, I think you're doing great things, changing the world from, fatherhood down. So thank you.
Buddy. Hey, can I celebrate something, by the way?
Yeah.
On that note, we have 199 members right now. So the next person to join Front Row Dads is number 200. I'm just so excited.
Someone join. Let's get someone to join right now during this event.
By the end, that might happen by the end, but it's been a joy, man, building with you guys. What an awesome group to be able to get together and talk about the things that matter. It's why you're our headliner for our January 21st event, Justin, is the idea of buying back time, creating financial freedom. Tatiana and I talk about that element. That's really the only element of finances that matter to our family when it comes to being able to make choices. And whether that's the choice to create the lifestyle that we want, which I think sometimes people immediately turn to sipping drinks by a pool. When you think of lifestyle, sometimes we gravitate there. I know that lifestyle means so much more to you and to your community and the people that are a part of it, which part of having a lifestyle is what you can give, what you can create with others. I think that's part of the real lifestyle is relationships. And so we're excited about finances as it relates to relationships.
Oh, I love it. You say it so eloquently, and I love that you've incorporated this into Front Row Dads, because in the beginning, it was almost like, hey, I want to differentiate the dads by not talking about finances. Right. Because there's so many other groups that do it. There's so many groups that actually this is the thing they do. So let's be different by not doing it.
Yep.
And let's have other, we want, there are other pillars that we feel are more important. However, the group I give, total props to you, because you listen to the group, and the group saying, no, actually we want this. We do think there are things that are more important, but the financial aspect of it, that actually helps with the other things. It buys the time to be in better shape and to, prioritize health. And it buys time to be able to spend with our family so that we're pouring into them first, so that our schedule actually reflects our priorities. So it's family men first, businessmen second.
See, I think I had a very unhealthy view of even money and business for a while. I made it the criminal. It was like the thing that was taken away. And I think what the group helped me to realize over time was that, no, it's just an intentionality. It's where we put our focus and how this plays a role. It's a tool that can be used for all sorts of things, and it can perpetuate what you want and the values you care about, or it can hurt you. So we're making progress, Justin. We're growing.
I love it. Well, that you've got a brilliant organization with great men when you have, John Ruhlin, who's recommending this to anyone and everyone. I'm recommending this to anyone and everyone. It's like we are just so thrilled to have more people in the world doing this. And if we're going to hang out with, anyone, we want to hang out with people that actually put their families first. So I think that's cool.
Awesome. And families that show up to support my buddy's live stream. We don't even know that they're here. That's so cool.
That's right.
Love you touching on a tiger and ocean. Love it.
That's so cool.
Guys, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to let you guys dive in. Justin, thanks, man, for having me, and thanks for what you're doing in the world. And JD, it's your evolution as a leader, and the ability to listen and what Justin's talking about. It's an honor to be locked arms with you and the Front Row Dads. And dude, it's 200. I look forward to the day when there's another zero on that, and it's 2,000 and I even beyond that 20,000. Like there's
3-year vision right there.
Yeah, who you're bringing into your world and attracting, and the foundation, and it's exciting and scary to see what that's going to look like. So, dude, I'm excited for that day.
Thank you, buddy. Love you.
That is so cool. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate your time. Give our best to your family, and enjoy one of those awesome shakes. Actually, it's the special cashew milks that are the best at Source. So get one of those. Those are amazing.
All right, dude. I'll tell him you said hi.
All right. See ya. JV, you and me.
Yeah, man.
I gave you props earlier because in so many ways you've been one of the greatest inspirations to me for writing this book and putting my content out into the world. And I just want to give you that, those props. You're obviously in my acknowledgments for a reason. But you have been literally one of the most loyal fans, friends, supporters, partners, teammates of anyone that I know. And I'm just so appreciative for your friendship and your support over the years, and your constant motivation and encouragement to do what I have done. Because without you and a few other key people like you who were in my corner and wanted this, out in the world, it wouldn't have happened.
Thanks, man. I did buy JustinDonaldFanClub.com, and I will sell it to the highest bidder. So.
I love it. When I saw the banner go up, I was like, holy cow, did Casey just grab JustinDonaldFanClub.com? I was so impressed. Casey, that was good timing. I'm glad you didn't put that one up, though. That's great. That's really great. So, give me the lowdown on you. You've got a home to yourself right now. So obviously there are things that you're going to miss about having your family gone, but there are also things that you're going to be able to do that are different when it's just you. So I think that it's really good to have that space where you can take time to recharge and stimulate, thinking in a creative way, in an uninterrupted way. So I'm curious what this has been like. Any discoveries here?
Always discoveries, man. Always discoveries. I would say that space is healthy in many ways. It's for our relationship, for my relationship with my wife and my children, space has been one of the love languages. My wife always says the 6th love language is space.
Nice.
And I know that it's just so important for people to have a break, people have a timeout. And I think that's the flow of life. That's the breath of life. When you get really close to someone or something, and then you got to pull away for a moment. And it's that in and out, that those waves beating against the shore, that it's a rhythm that I think we all need to have in our lives. So while I miss them tremendously, and my house is it's almost like too quiet, right? Where I'm like,
Yeah.
uncomfortableness. It's actually difficult for me to be with myself and be quiet. I'm tempted oftentimes to turn on the TV or to just be busy again, or organize something or clean something or whatever it might be. And I've done a lot of that because I tend to go into that mode where I want to just pass time until they get back, because I am kind of craving that connection. I do crave the purpose and the meaning that comes along with that chaos. And it's wonderful chaos. It's like this, and it's the chaos of like, you never know what somebody's going to say or do in any given moment, because you have all this collision of human experiences in a family unit. And I love that. I also love having the perspective of what it's like to not have them here. I miss them so much. And I love when I hear from my wife that she misses me. That's wonderful. I love that my boys are getting this experience with mom. I think that's wonderful. And I'm really appreciative that we have the lifestyle to be able to do this right now. I love that we've created a life where she gets to take the boys to Key West for a couple days. That to me makes me feel like that's a real education. I love whoever said don't let schooling get in the way of your education. But that's it, right? Like, this is it. They're watching mom live life. They're watching, they're down there with Rachel, and Rachel's living life, and they're having this opportunity to have these experiences. They went on the boat. They talked to people. They're in restaurants. We sometimes
eating key lime pie.
That's the break. That's the break from education, but that's really in many ways the education. So anyway, I think we're all having a great experience.
That's so cool. Tatiana, if you're still watching, and I hope you are, John really needs key lime pie. When
she's bringing one home.
Yes, because you got the freezer pack, so you can do it, and don't feel bad if you need to bring an extra one home for a friend or anyone else that really likes them. Oh, nice! I like it. Thanks, Tatiana.
That's awesome.
It's interesting because my wife and I talk a lot about this, and you've seen the marriage planning document that I use, and it's a marriage and family planning day. So it's like everything all in one. And one of the things for us that's really important is that we have quality family trips, but then that we have quality time, just myself and my daughter, just my wife and my daughter. And for you, I know it's the same thing because, we believe in the board meetings, which is like the one-on-one with your child, and the importance of that, the power of that. But then it's also really important for like having trips, like Jennifer has a girls trip coming up here in a couple of weeks. And so it's important for her to be able to do that. I'm going to do a guys trip, coming up. And that's important because like each of these levels, there's just so much to it where you can recharge and you can get filled up. And that space, like you talked about, is powerful. But what I think can kind of even transcend to another level is when it's actually planned, actually scheduled, it's thought out, everyone feels good, you're on the same page, and you have things to look forward to throughout the year. So like putting the intentionality into it, I think is great. But then still having some variety, and it's like, hey, I just want to take a trip, to this place. Let's do it. I think that's fun too. And all of it's just so healthy.
So what just hit me? So I want to give a shout out to Amber, who I know has been instrumental for you in the launch of this book. And in my conversations with Amber, and I've known her for many years, and she's been critically important to the growth of Front Row Dads. She built our website. She's amazing on many, many levels, but she talks often about, she'll say something like, I need to take a beat, right? I need to take a beat. And it's like, I need to take a break. Shout out to my good friends, Michael and Amy Port, who run the heroic public speaking program. And they talk about, in performing, it's like there's a beat. And so when you say something and you say something powerful, you take a beat and you just pause and you let that settle on the audience. I think, and this has been my experience over the past year, is that learning how to take a beat, take a pause, we're creating space. I mean, I see a theme emerging here on the show. It's like, that's so important. And I love the idea of buying a beat. I love the idea of being able to buy a beat, because we talk about buying your time back. And I really like the idea of just being able to, if you can, create a world, and the intentionality is to buy a beat for yourself or other people, where it's like you're buying yourself a break. When you donate to somebody, when you support somebody's business, you create this moment wherein you infuse it with, in this, in cases, a financial element that gives you a beat to be able to be more intentional, to be more present, to be more on purpose with what it is that you want to do in your life. So I just love that. I just, shout out to Amber, shout out to Michael and Amy and all these people and you who've helped me to really understand what it means to buy a beat.
That's awesome. I love that whole concept, because, I talk a lot about, buying your time back, really kind of separating time from producing income and have assets produce income so that your time could be spent however you want. But what if you're not there? Well, you just need to buy a beat. You just need a moment to do that, to get focused, to, heal up or get some time, spend it exactly the way that you want to, with who you want to, or in solidarity, whatever's going to fill you up the most. And inside that time, maybe even think about how you can have more time like that. I think that's powerful.
I remember when Tim, so bringing him back into the fold here, when Tim Nikolai, for anybody who might have just joined, he challenged me last year where he's like, let's get together and talk about Front Row Dads and how it's going to grow. And I remember canceling the meeting because I was just too busy. And he said, when do you want to, make time so that you have the ability to make more time? And I think that it's like that way with finances as well, where you can just work. You're like, I got to work harder, work more, put away the money until you take a minute, buy a beat, buy a book. That's what it is, right? Buy a book, take a beat, then, then your next moves become more intentional. Then your next moves become more important. I got really inspired by, as many have, the Queen's Gambit, right? This show that took Netflix by storm. And I read the most popular show on Netflix. It was like literally broke every record, which is remarkable. But what I loved about that was how strategic it, and that game can be. I loved being inspired by how hard they worked to understand the strategy. And then when you really, really understand the craft, you can win a game in so few moves because you get it. I think finances are one of those things I've avoided in my life in the past because I just didn't put the time in to learn about it. And then I just was, I lost control of my life in that area. So you've been a big inspiration for me there, buddy.
Well, thank you. And I love that it's top of mind, and I love that now it's part of, the dad's brotherhood, because it then is accountability, whether passively or actively, right? You've got active participants that are going to hold you accountable, but there's a passive reminder because it's a pillar.
Yeah.
And you're always looking at those, and you're always promoting those, and you're putting it up at each of the events, and it's on the website. So I mean, it's really cool. I'm actually curious. I'd love to have you share, because you and I have talked in depth a lot more recently about the impact that you see the lifestyle investor having with the dads and with the Front Row community. I'd love to have your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, what I love is anytime that you have a framework in place, I think that's very positive. I think your 10 commandments, people talk about that a lot because I think people like checklists. They like systems. They like you to tell, like, what's the question that constantly comes up, right? Is like, what's the next step? What's the thing that I do? So I think that's very positive. What I'm feeling. So here's what's really cool. There's proof in the numbers. And I'm not talking about financial numbers. I'm talking about, for us, it's attendance. It's what's calling attention. Your call was the highest attended call in the history of Front Row Dads since we started. Now that tells you something about this topic and how people feel about it. What people have been telling me is it's the one, people tell me in different ways. We have financial advisors in our group who will tell us that when people come to them for advice, let's say, that finances are one of the greatest stresses. We have psychologists in our group that will tell us that when couples come to them, finances are one of the greatest stresses. And I think that sometimes what's missing is it's not even just not having money. Sometimes the great stresses come by having a lot of money, right? And then it starts to create some interesting problems.
Very true.
I think is very cool about your take and what our guys are learning is that it's not just about making more money. It's literally about, it's about what you want to do with it. Right. And so there's this human element that's brought into it, which I think is really important. And I see Jennifer here.
Yeah. This is my lovely wife, Jennifer. So glad that you're joining us.
Hello.
And hopefully you got a chance to hear John's thoughts and the impact that it's having, with the dads. I think that that's really cool. And sometimes it's like, it's easy for me to see because I'm part of it. I'm running calls, I'm doing things, but you may not know the interest that the guys have. So I don't know if you caught all that, but it was a cool share, John.
I did. Thank you. Yeah.
Jennifer, it's so good to see you. How are you feeling today?
Good. Happy to be here and see you guys and listen in.
Wow, what a big day. Commenting about a friend text thread that was happening earlier today. And I loved that somebody was like, I don't remember who said it. Maybe
it was
Hal. Congratulations to the Donald family, and to, Jennifer, for this book to make it out to the world, you're more important than Justin.
Very true. I agree. You don't even have to whisper it. She's the support system. And, I shared with everyone earlier that, I woke up first thing today to a special card from Savannah and from Jennifer, to really celebrate, today and how special it was. And Jennifer's been constantly reminding me, like, today's just a day to celebrate. Doesn't matter what happens. Like, today is special. And so I appreciate that, Jennifer.
That's right.
That's so cool.
Hi, Amber. Welcome back. What a great crew we've got
here.
The call
just got a lot better.
Man.
I can tell the comments online and all the thoughts, if you could read someone's mind, is like, this call just got a lot better looking also. So, this is, now I'm upstaged. Okay. Thanks.
Nice job, ladies.
Hey, this is awesome. Amber, I gave you a shout out a little bit earlier about buying a beat. I don't know if you were part of it.
I was just coming in from another call and Hannah on my team said, John just said the nicest thing. And I was like, what did he say? And I don't know. I'll go back and watch the replay, but thank you.
It was all good. And it was about your positive impact. So this is so great. And Justin, can I just make mention here, by the way, that, what feels so good is today, if you just take the whole day and the launch of this book, it is the most joyful thing for me to watch all these people support you. It is so wonderful to see your wife here. It is so wonderful to see Amber here, and then to see Tatiana chiming in, and then Roland and Nikolai. And like, dude, this is just, I think that the greatest wealth you've ever built in your life is your relationships. And I know you believe that too. And I think it's one of the reasons you do so well financially too, is because the reason you have deal flow, the reason people bring you investments, the reason people give you their money is because they trust you, because of who you are as a man, the character. Somebody asked me recently about you. They're like, hey, I'm just before I make a connection or an introduction. And I said, look, I can tell you one thing. I've known Justin behind the scenes for a very long time. And if there's one thing I can speak to that's even greater than his investment success, which is a pretty solid track record, is who you are as a man, like your character as an individual, how you are from morning, noon, and night. And I'm not telling the word you're perfect, because in about 10 minutes, I'm going to share the 10 things that Justin's not good at. I have a whole list. I had it engraved on a plaque, so I never forget what they are. And I've asked Jennifer to prepare a list too that she has, just to balance out all the praise that you're getting today. But all kidding aside, man, you're a tremendous individual. So really, I'm not here because, I'm not here for the book as much as I am here for the man. But I'm very happy about the book, especially because of the man that wrote it. So,
thank you so much. You have such a way with words, John. You're very gifted in that respect.
And all of what I said early this morning, I hired somebody on Fiverr to help me write it. It all worked out.
So good, man. Well, I mean, this is why I value my friendship so much. I saw Mike Higgins put a little post up there, and thank you. And I mean, he makes the point that to me, like, life is relationships, and so really cherishing them and putting them first. And I'm guilty on many fronts of getting busy in different seasons where maybe I don't do as good of a job as I have or could. And it's nice to have friends that remind you of that and the importance of that. But it's also nice to get the space that we were talking about, John, because that always comes up in reflection. It's like, why prioritize anything over the people that matter most, at any point in time? So I appreciate it and appreciate your friendship.
Thanks, man.
What's up, guys?
We've got another front row dad. Look at this, John. All these people on are these great front row dads. Casey Weed.
Great relationships. Look at all these beautiful people.
Isn't it amazing? So Casey, we were talking about this earlier today because Casey was one of the people that Brad Johnson and I were talking about, that he and his wife Chelsea were with us at Blackberry Farm, experiencing just one of the coolest just opportunities, one of the best wines we've ever tried, DRC, and then just one of the most beautiful just landscapes and quality of relationship and conversation. I mean, that was amazing. And I know you're looking for round two for your renewing your vows coming up here soon.
I'm looking for round two, trying to get Jennifer on board here. We want to get you guys out to Napa and spend our anniversary with us, our 10 years coming up.
Hey, this couldn't have been planned better. I didn't even think about you guys being on at the same time. So this was not a setup. But, Casey, go ahead and tell Jennifer why she needs to be there.
Well, great wine, great relationships. I don't need to sell this.
You don't need to sell it.
Sell Napa with these two guys. Not to mention Chelsea, of course.
That's right.
Well, she's the star of the show. So, I just want to make sure you don't get too big of a head, because the reason we're coming is for her.
Yeah, that's 100% correct.
That's awesome. Well, I love this group. I'm having so much fun. This is like such an enjoyable day for me. I could talk and hang out with you guys literally all day. I never realized how much fun live streaming could be.
I know. I told you. I'm always telling people to start live streaming.
I know. Well, it's interesting. These are all the conversations I want to have anyway, but it's like, do I want everyone to know everything? But then at the end of the day, it's like, people probably find some of this interesting and some of it relatable. Some of it, they're like, whoa, did you really talk about that, in front of everyone?
Your job optional. You can do whatever you want. You're a lifestyle investor. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I like that.
Day, like it's got to be celebrated, and to bring on your closest friends and people you spend life with, like that's what this is supposed to be about.
Yeah, it's so cool. Awesome. Come in the segue with the John Vroman.
When do we get to roast?
It's kind of coordinated a lot of this, brought so many of us together. Look, David Osborne now.
Now we have the biggest reader of the bunch, because David has read every single book behind him multiple times. David Osborne, welcome. So good to see you.
Didn't he write 12 of those?
Yeah, I wrote all the ones actually back there. I just recopied it in different binders, so it looks like a bunch of different books. It's only the ones I wrote.
Oh, that's so great. David, I love your backdrop. That is such a sharp backdrop. And I mean, your library is just cool in general. I love it as your backdrop.
Yeah, I did that one podcast with you with that dingy banner I had behind me half falling off the wall. And I told Matt right after, we got to fix this, man. It doesn't look good. So we flipped it to the library.
That's so good. Well, hey, we'll just have to do another one, you know? No problem. No sweat.
It's good to see you guys. You look shiny and cheerful, and I feel more awake already just looking at all your pretty faces.
I like it. And when you said pretty, you were mainly referring to Casey and John?
I was looking at the right side of the screen. You'll have to guess who's on the right side.
I like it. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, David Osborne, it's nice having you on because you're, you know, a New York Times bestselling author of Wealth Can't Wait. You're someone that I've learned a tremendous amount from in the world of investing, and you know, being part of the same investment club and community here in Austin has been just a real treat. You know, I didn't even know that this group existed. So had it not been for you, you know, I feel like my path and my journey would be a lot different.
Well, and just right before this call, I was on One Way Ventures. Is that right? Is that the one you introduced me to?
That's right.
I went ahead and invested in with, gosh, I can't pronounce his name. I even tried
Semyon Ducock.
Yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's funny how small the world is. I referred you to Tiger. You referred me to Semyon. I'm in his fund. I'm excited about seeing how they do. And yeah, it's great to be with you. I love the book. I enjoyed it a lot. The 10 Commandments of Investing alone is worth the price of the book. It's really well thought out. And who'd have thought you could come up with the 10 Commandments of Investing, because we're always looking for a numerical number of wise sayings or wise things that are actually novel, new, fresh, inspiring, and you did, and congratulations. I was reading those going, wow, alone I've already got the value out of this that I need from this book. In fact, tenfold over. Books are such a cheap deal, really, when you think of the value you can get from a book.
No kidding.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm curious, Jennifer, what the journey and experience for you has been like. I know you may not want to spend a whole lot of time talking, but I'd love to hear from you.
Okay.
I'm amazed that you got Jennifer on here. I could never pry Chelsea into one of these. So good for you.
I'm so pleased. Well, I softly offered, and I was hoping that she, you know, I was like, you know, you don't have to, you know, if you want to, you can. She's like, of course I want to. And I mean, it was like, there was no convincing. It was like, I'm all in. She was actually like, I'll be on the whole time. I think at first she may have thought she was going to be on for 3 hours, which is funny. And she was like, totally ready.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to be here and support you today. And it's cool to see kind of this wrapping up of the whole, you know, process, at least this stage of the process. And I know how hard you've worked and poured into it and how much it means to you. So it's cool to see all these people coming together to support you. And it is a cool, fun celebration. And I'm glad to be a part of it.
That's cool. I love it. I love it. Very neat. Well, Casey, tell me a little bit about what's going on with you, man. I haven't heard much from you yet.
Well, it's so neat just to be here and present for the book launch. I when I was reading the book, I think there's just a lot in there that's just not disclosed, it seems, by most investment books. Yeah, our industry is pretty bad. Yeah, I really think it's still a broken industry entirely. It's come a long ways over the last 20 years, but I think you bring a lot of those things out. You know, a lot of the guests that I bring on my podcast, I don't want to bring on another financial advisor. I want to bring on someone that has a PhD, some real experience, some life experience, that brings some true value, can speak transparently, because there's so much hidden behind the curtain that I think it's very scary and damaging to the investment world. You talk about fiduciary duty, you talk about average returns, you talk about a lot of the things that I like to communicate in my writing and in the things that I put out there. And you know, a lot of financial advisors just aren't willing to be that transparent. And I think you're doing investors a real service by educating them on those concepts.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Casey, because it could be really easy for you to, you know, take offense. I mean, you have one of the largest financial practices in the nation, you know, and you've just done incredible things. But I love in talking to you, you're like, well, but there's so much in here. There's so much truth here. And I actually want people to recognize that, like, I endorse you because, like, I believe in the things you're talking about. Like that's how I want to show up for people. Like that is important to me.
You're going to make some people mad. You're going to make a good portion of the industry pissed off, and that's a good thing, because a good portion of the industry is broken and they need that. We need to be shaken up like this. And I think you're helping to spur the growth that our industry needs. There's a lot of new rules and regulations that are coming out, and it just seems to get muddier and muddier. You can't really figure out what a financial advisor does. Are they a broker? Are they a fiduciary? Are they a financial planner? Is it a family office? It's really confusing. And I think you break it down very simply for people to understand when they should seek financial advice, who they should go to. And not everybody needs a financial advisor. And not everybody needs to be working with a financial advisor. And many, especially young people, I think your target audience is in a large part, they're a little younger. They're maybe in that, 35 to 45, 50 age group, and they like to get their hands dirty, get in there and really, enjoy the investment aspects. And they need some of that education, especially the commandments that you put in place. Everybody needs a process, whatever the process is, a planning process, a process for elevating your family year after year. I mean, those processes are the key. And you lay out a process for people to walk through a whole new realm of investing, one that many are completely unfamiliar with and are a little intimidated and scared by.
Yeah, a lot of truth there. And I just love how courageous you are, that you're like, hey, we got good stuff here, and there's room for all of it. And I see the value in different approaches, because there's no one right way for everyone.
This wasn't just a glorified business card either. You know how many books I've read over the last year that are New York Times bestsellers that were glorified business cards that I didn't learn a damn thing from. Here's something that actually teaches you something. It's not, hey, call me so that you can get the rest of the story. It's like, here, it's all out here, and I want to add value to your life. And if you want more value, there's more where that came from. There's a couple hundred pages here of value. You've got tens of thousands of pages of value, deep in that mind of yours.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Amber, I'm curious from your standpoint. You opened up this call today. We've done a lot here. You're jumping back on, and it's neat what we've created. And I've given tons of praise to you while you've been on, while you've been off, and you just really have helped build and put together and promote and market such an amazing tapestry, if you will. I'm just so impressed with you and your team and everyone.
Me too. I mean, I have the best team. I really do. So major shout out to all of them, because they've worked really hard for this moment. And it's special. It's a special day for me. I'm emotional about it. I met Justin many, many years ago, back when I started selling Cutco cutlery, and I was a very different person back then. I was young, I didn't know how the world worked, and I was just trying to figure out who I wanted to be in that big world. And so when I look back on my Cutco family, that's what I call it. John Broman was there. It's meaningful. I would do anything for you guys. I feel like I grew up in life with you. Even though we were in different locations, we didn't see each other all the time, it mattered to me. And when I ended up leaving Cutco, it was a sad day. I knew that there was something more for me in my career. I didn't know what it was back then. And luckily I came across, building this company, and it was really amazing. But I have to give credit to John Broman, because early in starting the company, he came to me, and it was so awesome, because I felt like I could plug back into my Cutco family, and he believed in me, and he allowed me to just talk to him about writing a book that ended up being a phenomenal book that sold over 10,000 copies. I mean, he's made a tremendous impact in the world with his wisdom, and I feel like he got to plug me back into this community. So then fast forward, I was at Hal Elrod's Best Year Ever conference, and I mentioned it earlier when we were sitting on the couch and you were talking to me about possibly writing this book and starting a platform. I really kind of held back, but inside I was like, I've got to be a part of this project in some way. I really wanted to be there for you at such an important time in your life. And, knowing what it was going to require from just the support of your family and your friends, then I wanted to share my wisdom with you. And so the fact that you came to me and trusted me with this most important project. I mean, of course, I was going to go all in and put my best effort forward. But along the way, it's been so magnificent and meaningful to watch you really show up and give to so many people. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, and you're having a lot of conversations, and there is a fatigue that sets in. But man, you just showed up every single day in service to others and connecting others and promoting others in the process of trying to get support for yourself. And it's just, the journey has really impacted me, seeing how you show up in the world, and of course the wisdom in the book. And it's just been an honor. So looking back on this whole journey and being able to celebrate here, especially with Casey and David and Jennifer and John on the line, it's like, gee whiz, this is the best.
This is so fun. And thanks for the kind words. I mean, really, I wouldn't be here without the inspiration and motivation, from each of you and, and from your organization. I mean, there's not a single person in your organization that I've had even one smidget of a bad experience with. Everything has been literally as high of praise as a person can give for every member. It's really impressive.
Thank you.
Well, I want to add to that. Justin called me last Saturday. It's Saturday morning, and he just got done spending time playing games with his kids and his wife and just having a great time. And then he goes, I'm editing the book today. I'm like, what are you? Stop editing the book. Yeah, and he's there editing the book, and he's doing this all day long when he has so many other things that he could be doing with his time, and it's already out there. Like, the book's done, and he's still trying to figure out how he can get in there and make it even better. And he's looking for feedback from me. He's talking to other people, say, hey, what can I do to make this better? It's already been done. You don't need to do anything else, but you continued to push forward just to put out a better and better product. You didn't just speak notes to some ghostwriter and say, hey, I'm done. I'm going to move on with my life. This meant the world to you, and you can see it in the way you approach it, the way you talk about it in your eyes and on the phone. I could hear the emotions. I would like to know what it felt like when you got that first copy in your hand.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. I went and grabbed it earlier. I said, I got to go grab something. And it was so neat. I mean, it showed up at 7:57 p.m. I remember I told Jennifer, I'm like, oh man, the book was supposed to show up today. It didn't show up. What the heck, And then I saw an email from UPS or FedEx that it was going to be arriving, pretty soon. And so we had just put Savannah to bed, and I was like, she's going to miss it. And it literally just arrived right then. And so I got it. I felt it. I was like, oh, this is so nice. Jennifer's like, oh, that's so nice. And we showed it to Savannah, and she's like, whoa, can I read it? And so she started reading it. And the beginning of it, right at the very beginning, is my dedication. And it's my dedication to her, which was really cool. And that dedication, I had her read it out loud, and she just had the biggest smile. And she's like, I know exactly where we need to put this wrong side, that book. It was really just a precious experience. So yeah, thanks for asking. That's cool.
Well, I know
that's
the
really
book
cool.
meant a lot to you in the way of legacy as well. Yeah, we
For
were
sure.
at a FRD retreat, actually headed to the airport together, and you were talking about what the book meant to you. And the first words out of your mouth were the impact that it was going to make on Savannah and the legacy that you were going to leave behind, and how it was going to help ensure that legacy lasted multiple generations. So really props to you for writing a book for the right reasons.
Well, thank you, Casey. I appreciate that tremendously. And Darius, thank you for joining us too, because I know you've had a crazy day. You just published a book. You're in high demand. Your consulting business is taking off. I know you don't have much free time. There's your book. Nice. And by the way, Amber worked with you and NGNG and just crushed it. And so we're so glad to have you. It's fun. I had you over. We got in for those of you wine lovers. Darius and I got into a couple of bottles of really nice wine. Yeah. It was really awesome. And then we did a live stream together, and then we did another live stream together. We got a podcast scheduled. I mean, we've been doing all kinds of things.
I was just I was on Clubhouse last night when you were on, crushing it, by the way. And,
Thank you.
And I had to get off because I had a call, and I wanted to because we had just done my show, and then I was just on Clubhouse right now, and I got pulled up on stage for this 700 person real estate investor thing, and literally all I did is gush about your book.
Oh,
I was they're like, how do you? I have $1 million. If you had $1 million to invest, where would you invest it? And some guy answers, he's like, I would do cash flow, and I'm like, speaking of cash flow. You guys, there's a book that's coming out today, Lifestyle Investor, Justin Donald. You have to, and it was in front of almost 800 people. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was a huge stage, and I was just I was like, this is the timing could not be better. But man, congratulations. Awesome. It's book launch day. I'm so pumped for you.
Thank you.
So awesome. Congratulations, man. It's the best feeling, isn't it?
It is. It's a great feeling. I just love hanging with my friends all day. What's better than this? Yeah. I mean, this is awesome. If we were in person, that would be the only way that it's better. We could all have a toast.
When do you start drinking wine?
I was gonna say every guest is greeted with wine. We need a bottle.
That sounds really fun.
You should take a sip every time somebody joins the live stream, and then I want to tune back in around dinner time to see how this is going.
That may not end well. Yeah. Well, luckily you guys.
I didn't want to be rude.
We're taking it home with this group. You guys are the final group of the day.
I want to say hi to everybody because I didn't say hi to Jennifer and David and John and Amber and Casey. Nice to meet you. Hi guys.
What's up, Darius?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, anybody can play some music. Darius will sing.
Oh my gosh! Yesterday I sang "Freedom" by George Michael.
I actually heard that.
So good.
This is the best way to start every live stream is with Darius singing.
I did a playback. I figured out how to get the playback going afterwards, and so I think you're going to have a lot of people in my community that love that you did that song.
Well, the funny thing is now that I think about it, I have sung to half of you guys on the stage. So
yeah, so it shouldn't be tough to do a song now. You've already done that in front of us.
I don't know. One-on-one is so much more intimate. You guys want me to do one? No, I'm not doing one.
Yeah.
We can do Money. We'll do Money by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, some of these songs you do are not easy songs. So, yeah.
You know what, man? That was my highlight of my day yesterday, by the way, was our show and singing to you. I swear, my heart sung. Thank you for allowing me to do that. It was so cool to promote your book. And before you came on, I'm like, I have to pick such a good song for Justin.
Well, I have bragged about you to so many other people because, I have heard on podcasts or live streams, people are like, well, who's the book for and who can benefit? And it's fun being able to say, hey, if you've never invested before, you're going to learn stuff. This is a great book for you. But if you're a really experienced investor, you've spent time, in the financial markets and specialize in lending, like my friend Darius has spent 20 years building a company, knows lending and mortgages like the back of his hand, and he'll read a section in the book on velocity of money and say, oh my goodness, this is a game changer. So you're my case study for people that have experience that still get a lot from it.
It's funny, right? Because it just shows that you can learn. You learn from everybody, right? And I agree with you. Your book is such a wide spectrum. It attracts such an audience, right? Because whether you're brand new, then it's just a game changer. You're like, oh my god, I never thought about it like this. And then if you're super experienced, you're like, oh, I never thought about it like this from this perspective. I mean, I understand a lot of this maybe the more nuances of what you wrote. And I just appreciated the whole thing. What I was telling Justin yesterday, I said, what I learned was you really have to earn the attention of the reader one page at a time. And I'm super critical of my friends' books. Because I don't want to lie to them and be like, yeah, I like your book if I don't really like it, which I'm not going to lie half the time I tell them that. But I sure won't. I'm not going to gush about their book. That's for sure. I'll be like, oh yeah, it's a great book. I appreciate it. Right. Wink, nudge. But with Justin, I was like, oh man, your book is putting me to bed every night. Just the last 10 pages. I read 10 pages a day right now of a book, and I'm reading this book, and I'm like, man, every day I'm so excited to read it because I'm learning something, and it's just giving me a new perspective on how do you think about investing in this interesting way that we're not taught. Like no one teaches us to meditate when we're 5, and they don't teach us how to invest, you know? And a lot of our parents, I mean, unless you're lucky enough to have a parent who's an investor, like who's teaching you this stuff? My parents owned real estate, man, and I didn't learn it. I had to still teach myself it. But yeah, I love your book, man.
That's a great point. Is like you have to be intentional who you're learning from, and then what you're teaching. You know, so for us on the call, you know, we've all got kids, and so it's so important, you know, that we're teaching these lessons to them so that they can learn it. Because what's more important than anything is not that they get money, it's that they get education around money.
Yeah.
You know, and also just a good weighting of like money doesn't matter as much as a lot of people think, but having some cash flow in your world so that you can live life in a way that brings your passions out, you know, is a great way to do it. Les, great to see you. Thanks for joining. I feel like I've seen you a ton this week between.
And, I mean, yeah, it was like just like last night or the day before. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 3 days in a row, I think.
Or something like that. Yeah. At least 3 business days.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
You know,
thanks,
I was going to ask David real quick before I jump back to Les. You have been, you know, you're just an incredible investor. And one of the things I admire about you is you find your niche and you become an expert and you just really, you know, drive that niche home. And you, like me, really believe in cash flow and having that, you know, living a life based on having, you know, income producing assets. You know, part of your income producing assets are, you know, the Keller Williams brokerages. And for those that don't know, you know, David has the largest Keller Williams brokerage in the company and does amazing things with them and teaching people. You know, has his Go Abundance tribe where he's really broken down like his philosophies and strategies for success and has helped people all across, you know, the globe implement these things in their world inside of tons of different businesses. And I think that's so cool. So like you spend your time living the investment life, you spend your time teaching the investment life. And so I know you are an avid reader because you and we go back and forth. We're like, I read this, I recommend that, you know, and you're one of my favorite people to bounce stuff off of. I'm just curious, you know, your thoughts when you kind of take this whole concept of lifestyle investing and what that means to you and what you think it could mean to others.
You know, I think, Justin, it's so great to read your book because I've read so many. Back in whenever Cash Flow Quadrant was released, it became like my Bible from, you know, Robert Kiyosaki back in the day. And I wanted financial freedom right out of the gate. And to me, financial freedom is only established through cash flowing investments. And you know, in my other group, we have a goal to be 100%er. An idea of 100%er is 100% of your needs are met through passive income, through investments, through what we call horizontal income, multiple income streams. And it's a journey that every single person should be on, and they don't teach it anywhere. To Darius's point earlier, that there's not a single place they teach it. And when we teach it in our group, like you're teaching it to so many, but the light bulb goes on, and people are like, oh my gosh, I've had a guy making $2 million a year, you know, and then he joined us in 13, and he had zero passive, just works his tail off, you know, supersonic loan officer working like 80 hours a week. And then once the light bulb went on, he focused on just adding doors to his real estate portfolio. Now he's up to like 200 or something. He's got 200,000 approximately a year passive coming in. And that's all he cares about now. He's still killing it in his primary business, but he's like, oh, wait, this money comes in once I've done the work, whether I work or not, right? And that's so reading your book then and having read so many books and being so versed in this space, I was actually shocked that you added new perspectives to the way I view the world. And just like Darius said, I read a bunch of books, and I certainly read a lot for friends too, that they send me their books they've written. And I didn't expect necessarily to get something new out of it based on our conversation. I really didn't think there was much more I had to learn in cash flow investing opportunities. And yet I'm reading it going, wow, I can't hardly put this thing down. This is like, you know, shockingly original and shockingly clever in a space that's really been, you know, really well developed in my brain, and a lot of really great books out there. And yours just adds to the pile with a new, fresh perspective that I've really enjoyed reading it. So yeah, you've done an amazing job. You brought new light onto new areas that I hadn't really even thought of. So, and there's real estate, there's royalty income, there's so many different forms of passive investing. But the lifestyle, the way you describe it as lifestyle investing, it's just really well done, Justin. I'm really, really pleased to read your book and be part of this conversation.
Well, thank you. You've been a huge supporter and advocate, and I learn a ton from you. So it's cool to be able to like bounce ideas back and forth, and there's just a lot that you do really well, and I love being able to take that. And then there's a lot of other people do well, and I want to take that, and I just have this desire to keep learning and growing and figuring out more things. And you've just been a wealth of knowledge and a great resource for me. So thank you.
Well, the feeling's mutual, man. I don't keep up with you. I know you read like 150 books a year. I'm at about 35, 40, but that's plenty for my brain to absorb. And it's really fun chatting with you too. You're a wealth of knowledge. So appreciate the friendship and really happy for your success with Lifestyle Investor.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I want to real quick make sure that we are talking a little bit again about Love Justice, and we're getting close to the end of our time. And again, this is the charity that the proceeds from the book are going to, and I'm just so thrilled about this organization. You can learn a ton on them, but they're so great at fighting human trafficking, and this is in 17 countries in the world that they are doing this. They've been, around as an organization since 2006. I'm just so impressed with their team, their staff, their executive team, their founders. They are just unbelievable. And so I'm excited for proceeds of the book to go to this. So I want the education to go to financial literacy and financial freedom. And I want the proceeds to go to basic freedoms, buying your human life freedoms and rights that a lot of these children are being, these rights are being stripped from them. So let's cue that video if you don't mind.
Tempting, all the steps to follow closer right behind. Is it only when you feel the pot is empty that it's gnawing at the corners of your mind? I will ask you for mercy. I will come to you blind. What you see is the worst me, not the last of my kind.
Well, that's a pretty deep video that really portrays kind of what happens, in this world of human trafficking and the different trajectory that it can take, a human life. And so it's powerful. And I'm just so pleased to be able to help in the impact here. And I just want to encourage anyone that is watching this that, if you'd like to find a place to direct some extra dollars, I'd love for you to donate to Love Justice International. Again, the proceeds of the book are going to this unbelievable cause. And then additionally, anything else that you want to donate, feel free to do that. I just think it's incredible. And especially for, all of us with kids that are on here, and so many people watching, I'm sure, have kids too. So yeah, I'm so impressed and so pleased with this whole setup, with Amber's team and the production that we have, and each of you for joining me here today, specifically rounding it out with Casey and with David, with Les, and of course, my lovely, wonderful, and beautiful wife, Jennifer. This has been a real treat, and I'm a lucky guy to have all the relationships that I do have. So thank you.
Thank you. See you in Napa.
Yeah, I like it. Appreciate you all.
Thanks.
Thanks, brother.